Chapter 111. Alex looked at Torchic with a kind smile and said, "Do you want to fight this Pokemon?" Torchic, who has been very active since her birth, would annoy Alex several times a day. Thus he thought that he should look for a fight for her. So when she finally heard that Alex allowed her to fight, she showed an excited expression and ran around excitedly. Alex had expected this kind of behavior from her and could only give a wry smile. If Alex could describe Torchic's personality in one word, it would be playful. Torchic walked in front of Alex's group and got ready for the fight. Although Alex hadn't allowed her to fight, he had explained a lot about fighting, so she knows at least basic knowledge. Kirlia walked between both Pokemon and gave the signal to start the fight. Torchic, let's start with Attract. Alex, who doesn't know exactly how the move Attract works in this world, wanted to test it immediately against this Pokemon. Alex cannot imagine that Torchic being able to use this move effectively against elite Pokemon. Like Disable, Growl, and Confuse Ray in this world, this move definitely has some requirements to work. Krabby, who seems to be fighting for the first time, looked curiously at Torchic and didn't immediately use a move. Kingler got furious after seeing this and started shouting at Krabby, who just wasted crucial time. Krabby got a little nervous after getting yelled at and started preparing Bubble. Torchic quickly managed to use Attract, and Krabby stopped doing anything and just looked at Torchic with a mesmerized expression. Alex saw that Krabby was doing nothing except looking in the direction of Torchic, and was amazed. The power of Attract is better than he thought. Although this move has specific requirements to work correctly, it can be very helpful in a battle if the opponent is hit by it. While the fight was on, Torchic noticed that her feet were getting lighter and lighter, and looked perplexedly at her feet. This is the first time she felt that she was suddenly becoming faster for no reason. Speed boost in this world only works when a Pokemon is in a fight and is immediately reset when the fight is over, which didn't make it as strong as Alex had hoped. But even with this disadvantage, Speed Boost is probably one of the best skills in the world. Torchic, use Sunny Day. Torchic heard Alex and started using Sunny Day. After a few seconds, Alex felt that it was getting a bit warm, but he noticed that the sun was still covered by the clouds, which meant that this move does not affect the real sun. Krabby, who was still looking in the direction of Torchic, showed no signs of waking up. Alex thought that it might be hard to wake up from Attract if the Pokemon is not harmed. He decided to do many tests with the move Attract later in order to find out exactly. The knowledge of how and when a move works are one of the most fundamental requirements of a trainer. Torchic, use Overheat. Krabby, who had a terrible SP def of 25, probably couldn't take this strong attack even if he is a water-type Pokemon. Torchic gathered all the fire energy in her body and sent a big ball of flame, similar to the soccer ball, towards Krabby, who just snapped out of Torchic's Attract. Krabby could not evade this attack and was hit by this attack, which led him to pass out the next moment. Fortunately, Pokemon heal relatively quickly, so the leader showed no concern for Krabby's injury. Normally, Pokemon can only take permanent damage if they are unconscious or overwork their bodies and keep fighting like Crobat in the finale. Kingler took Krabby and gave him to another Kingler who was protecting him while he was unconscious. Although Kingler is a Pokemon that can value strength, they don't mistreat losers. Alex walked towards the tired Torchic and started praising her for her great fight. Torchic, who had heard so many compliments from Alex for the first time, brightly smiled as she listened. She jumped on Alex's red cape when she noticed that she was getting tired and made herself comfortable on Alex's head. Alex was completely surprised by Torchic's action and didn't know for a moment what to do. Torchic being on his head doesn't bother him much, and it doesn't make it difficult for him to move around. But it felt like his respect as a trainer was being violated. Although he can bring her down and yell for her actions, Alex thought that it was unnecessary. Kirlia also really enjoyed sitting on his shoulder when she was a kid, Ralts. So Torchic probably wants to do that, too. Is this how it feels to have kids? I may have a weak spot for young Pokemon. Crobat, who saw this scene, laughed out loud. But shortly after a few seconds, he suddenly stopped and thought, "Hey, am I imagining it, or is our trainer nicer to Torchic than to me?" Sizer, who didn't want to miss the chance to make fun of Crobat, said, "Of course he is. No idea why you're making such a stupid comment. Unless you want to be treated like a child. Well, that will suit your mental age. Ha ha ha." Ditto, who is usually shy, said, I think that's because she's a female. Although I don't quite get it, our trainers seem to treat female Pokemon better." Shereldon had a curious expression when he asked, "Oh, is that really so? Brother Sizer, do you know why he's doing this? Hey, why are you asking those barbecue tongs when the smart Pokemon is in front of you?" Sizer was instantly annoyed. "You're just the most arrogant Pokemon, so shut up. To answer your question. As Sizer talked, Crobat cut him off, and they both started insulting each other. Curlia, who had been listening to this conversation in silence until now, could only shake her head with helplessness. She looked in the direction of Shereldon and said, "I hope you don't take after these two elder brothers of ours and behave responsibly." Shereldon nodded to his big sister but still looked interestingly at the two quarreling Pokémon. Curlia and Ditto could only breathe a helpless sigh. Chapter 112, Bonus Chapter. 10 minutes later, the Kingler, whom the leader had sent away, came from the sea with a treasure chest on his back. Alex, who saw this treasure chest, suppressed his greed to steal the whole treasure chest. He thought about the pros and cons, and in the end, decided not to try to rob this group. This group is much stronger than the collective power of Alex's Pokémon, so that even with careful tactics, it is tough to win safely. Besides, Alex was gonna stay on this island for a long time, so he can even trade items with this group several times. Why should he bear all these disadvantages for the benefit of saving a little money? Kingler took the chest and placed it in front of Alex. Then the female leader said, "Okay, here it is. See if you can find something that interests you." For Kingler, these items are useless. They collect it as a hobby. Kinda like James's hobby of collecting bottle caps. When you can swap these useless items for food that can increase the potential, there is not much to think about. I couldn't help myself from inserting a JoJo meme. Yar yar. Alex, who looked inside the chest, found a lot of useless stuff. Scales, shells, and pearls make up the majority of the contents of this chest. Although the pearls can be sold for a relatively good price, there were no big pearls that could earn a large amount of money. What made Alex's day was finding 3 water stones and a king's rock in this chest. There are a total of 4 types of evolution stones, each having different values. And one evolution stone can be 100 times more valuable than another evolution stone. Low water stone, mid water stone, high water stone, and top water stone. Low water stone, don't change the potential of Pokémon using it. Mid water stone has a very small chance of increasing the potential of Pokémon under gold potential. High water stone has a good chance of improving the potential of the Pokémon under gold potential. Top water stone enhances the potential of every Pokémon that uses it. It can also improve the potential exponentially if the Pokémon's potential is very low. For example, normal to shallow silver. 2 water stones were low water stones. But fortunately, Alex found 1 high water stones. Looking through the chest, Alex saw a scale that had a unique color. This scale reminded Alex a lot of an item called the deep sea scale, so he also chose it. Alex chose these items at the end. 1 high water stones. 2 low water stone. King's rock. Deep sea scale, possibly. 153 pearls. Although he doesn't need any of these items, they are very valuable and can bring him a lot of money. Also, who knows when he might need one of these items. Especially the King's Rock is a very expensive and rare item. Besides, most trainers are not aware of the importance of this King's Rock, thus making it even more valuable. Although Alex thinks that the Alliance must have already discovered what these items do, it seems to be confidential information in this world. Alex and Kingler negotiated for a few minutes for the amount of food Alex had to give as payment. Fortunately, Kingler only knew that these items were useful to Alex but not how much. So she was at a disadvantage in this negotiation. In the end, Alex only had to pay for 1 month of food for all of these items. Alex wanted to bring the amount down a bit more, but he also didn't want to lose Kingler's goodwill for a few poke dollars. Just the chance to negotiate with Kingler again after 2 months is worth losing a little money. Losing the opportunity of earning 1 million poke dollars for the momentary gain of 1,000 poke dollars didn't make sense to Alex. Alex said goodbye to the Kingler group and set off to explore this area more closely. Because it's a green area, Alex wasn't afraid to explore it. He walked along the coast and occasionally saw various water-type Pokémon swimming near the shoreline. But because most of the Pokémon didn't have good potential, Alex ignored them. After a few minutes, Alex suddenly received a warning from Crobat that 2 Pokémon were fighting against each other. That piqued Alex's interest, and he asked Crobat to lead them to these 2 Pokémon. Crobat wordlessly led the group along the coast. After 3 minutes, Alex could see 2 Pokémon fighting at the coast. A large Gyarados and a Kingler with a dangerous aura fought on the edge of the beach. Even without the system, experienced trainers would be able to assess that Kingler was an elite Pokémon. Gyarados, several times taller than Kingler, was completely covered in wounds. The blood on his body may lead someone to believe that he was a shiny Gyarados. In comparison, Kingler only had a few minor injuries. Alex, who saw the information of both Pokémon, immediately knew the reason. Pokémon. Kingler. LV. 48. Type. Water. Abilities. Hyper Cutter. Gender. Male. Potential. Silver. Moves. Bubble, Mud Sport, Vice Grip, Leer, Harden, Bubble Beam, Mud Shot, Metal Claw, Stomp, Protect, Slam, Crabhammer, E. Innate Talent. Giga Impact, E. Pokemon. Gyarados. LV. 38. Type. Water/Flying. Abilities. Intimidate. Gender. Male. Potential. Deep Silver. Moves. Splash, Tackle, Leer, Twister, Ice Fong, Aqua Tail, Scary Face, Dragon Rage, Crunch. Innate Talent. Dragon Tail, E. Defeating an elite Pokemon without a particularly effective tactic is almost impossible. So it was not surprising that Gyarados was at the losing end in this fight. Alex was also a little surprised that Gyarados even tried to fight this Kingler, who is much stronger than him. If Alex was Gyarados, he would have flown away immediately and tried to escape this almost impossible fight. Fighting a losing war that only leads to your destruction for no reason is a fool's job. Although Kingler is stronger than Gyarados, it cannot fly or swim as fast as Gyarados. So there is no reason for Gyarados to fight to the end. While thinking, Alex suddenly noticed that the Gyarados' eyes lost their aggressive expression and looked normal again. After Gyarados could now think like normal Pokemon, he immediately flew away from Kingler, who kept chasing him with a crazy look. Alex, who saw how Gyarados was apparently easily controlled by his emotions, understood why it is so difficult to train a Gyarados for a trainer. Chapter 113. Kingler was very annoyed when he saw that Gyarados ran away. Then he looked in Alex's direction and suddenly started running at a relatively fast pace towards him. Alex saw Kingler running aggressively in his direction and shouted, "Hey Kingler, we are not your enemies." Kingler ignored Alex's declaration and ran in his direction without saying anything. Alex showed a cold expression as he looked at this Kingler. Although his Pokemon are weaker, they are not so weak that they have to cower against him. Although Alex doesn't like fights where he doesn't have a 100% win rate, he's not a person who can be easily provoked. Kirlia. Will-O-Wisp. Sizer. Focus Energy. Ditto. Transform into Crobat and use Confuse Ray. Crobat. Toxic. Sheldon. Metal Sound. Alex, who knows that a Pokemon can be poisoned and burned simultaneously, of course, uses both of these moves. Although these moves would have quite a weak effect due to the vast level gap between them and Kingler, they can still do a bit of damage over time. After a few seconds, Alex's Pokemon used all of their moves against the Kingler, who was running like a tank towards them. Alex realized the metal sound was totally useless even though it hit Kingler. He understood that the likely difference in strength between Sheldon and Kingler was too large for the move to work on him. Confuse Ray and Will-O-Wisp seemed to have worked on him, but the effect was much weaker than ordinary. Only Toxic seemed to have been a little effective. Kingler suddenly stopped running and started preparing a move. Alex, who saw this, knew that there was no time to waste. Kirlia and Sheldon use Protect together. Just when he said that, Kingler used Bubble Beam, which quickly flew towards Alex's group. Kirlia and Sheldon used Protect at the same time to block the move. Although both shields were almost destroyed by this one move, together, they managed to stop this attack. Alex was slightly shocked that a non-expert move could almost destroy the shield of two Protects. But it's not surprising since it is a low elite Pokemon. He could understand the arrogance of these Kingler a little better now. Seeing that his attack was blocked, Kingler used Bubble Beam again. Alex, who saw this, looked annoyed and said, "Kirlia, use Thunderbolt. Ditto and Crobat use Fly. Sheldon, use Iron Defense." After saying that, he ran out of reach of Kingler with Torchic. Although he was more than 25 meters away, he wanted to be at least 40 meters away to feel a little safe. With this distance, it would be easier for Kirlia to rescue him if necessary. Torchic looked at Alex to show that she can fight too. Alex looked at Torchic and said with a stern voice, "No. It's very dangerous for you to go into a fight like this." Torchic showed a sad expression with tears in her eyes. Alex's face slightly twitched when he saw her sobbing. He took Torchic in his hand to prevent her from running away without telling and continued to watch the fight. He couldn't waste time explaining to Torchic exactly why she can't participate in this fight. Although she could easily break out of Alex's hand, she can't do it without getting Alex's attention, which was important for Alex to watching the fight without to fear the Torchic runs away if you don't pay attention to her. Kingler used the Bubble Beam to hit Sheldon, who couldn't evade. Sheldon, who was thrown back several meters from the hit, laid unconscious on the floor with severe wounds. This Kingler is really smart. attacking the weaker Pokemon first to put more pressure on others. Alex took Shilden's Pokeball and quickly called Shilden back before he gets hit again. Unconscious Pokemon can be critically injured and even killed, so Alex naturally called Shilden back immediately. Although Kingler was hit by Thunderbolt and Fly twice after using this move, the damage Kingler took appeared to be very small. Alex saw how little harm Kingler was taking. Fortunately, that wasn't my main plan. He saw that Sizer had already used focus energy to the maximum and was ready for his next command. Kirlia, use Helping Hand on Sizer. Ditto transform into Sizer after Kirlia uses Helping Hand on him. Crobat, use Protect to stop Kingler's attack. Kingler, who was only a few yards away from Crobat, used Crab Hammer after jumping high in the air. Crobat wanted to avoid the attack but quickly realized that he wouldn't be able to do it in time and used Protect instantly. Kingler swung his claws like a baseball bat against Crobat's shield. In a second, the Protect shield was broken, and Crobat was thrown to the ground. Although the shield absorbed most of the damage, Crobat had suffered a great deal of damage. While Crobat was gaining time for others, Kirlia used Helping Hand on Sizer to reinforce Sizer's next move. Then Ditto used Transform to transform into Sizer. And because Ditto's transform is on the expert rank, the reinforcement of Sizer was also copied. Kirlia, Thunderbolt. Crobat, Shadow Ball.
Scizor, Ditto, Giga Impact.
Kingler, who saw two Sizers running at him with high speed, also used Giga Impact. He was hit again by Crobat and Kirlia before he traded moves with Ditto and Sizer. Sizer, Ditto, and Kingler collided hard against each other. Although Kingler's strength was higher, he was hit in the head, which also caused critical damage. Sizer and Ditto were badly injured and had only about 3040% HP left. Kingler, on the other hand, looked better. Alex would estimate that he had around 50% HP left. When Alex wanted to prepare for his next move, he saw a group of Kingler and Krabby running in their direction from a distance. Come to me quickly. Alex's Pokemon immediately stopped fighting and quickly ran towards Alex. Kingler did not follow Alex's Pokemon but instead looked towards Kingler and Krabby's group. Alex said via telepathy to Kirlia that she should get ready to teleport them all away on his signal. Then he looked with curiosity what this group wanted to do. Kingler and the female Kingler were talking, more like bickering, to each other. But Kirlia and Alex were too far away to understand. But from the expressions of the two, Alex could sense that they were arguing about something. He could well imagine what these two Kingler were arguing about. After 3 minutes of quiet waiting, the female Kingler looked in Alex's direction as she made a go motion with her claws. Alex briefly showed an annoyed expression and thought about attacking this group. But the opportunity of exchanging items with this group again made him suppress this feeling. Though the main reason was that they weren't in a good position to fight. His Pokemon were not in the best situation to fight, and fighting this low elite Kingler along with this group was too much. Come on, let's get out of this safe green area, said Alex with a sarcastic tone. Chapter 114. Saffron City. Sylph Company. Giovanni was sitting in his chair and looked at Lisa softly when Lisa came in. Lisa, who usually has a playful smile, showed a serious expression as she entered the room. Although she didn't smile, there was respect in her eyes when she looked at the boss, Giovanni. Giovanni, who was quietly watching her, said with a slightly friendly tone, "Oh, Lisa, thanks for coming. Sit down so that we can talk further." Lisa, hearing the kindness of Giovanni's words, smiled. Of course, she thanked Giovanni politely and sat down. She always saw Giovanni as the father figure she never had. So she was very gratified after hearing the friendly tone of Giovanni. When she was young, Giovanni personally sacrificed a lot of time to train her, which she has never forgotten. Lisa, you did a really great job this time. You not only discovered and trained Maria but Alex too. Boss, although I'm happy to be so useful, I was just lucky this time. Especially, I didn't give any help to Alex to become so strong. Though he did buy items of my Lugia. Giovanni looked surprised. He thought that Lisa at least gave help to Alex, who got strong ridiculously fast. His assessment of Alex improved again. Although some bosses would have feared that their subordinates would become too strong, Giovanni wasn't worried about that. He has confidence that he can control Alex, or at least make him useful for Team Rocket. Giovanni had already made a good assessment of Alex's character, so there was no reason to be worried. The fact that Alex has a neutral attitude towards Team Rocket shows Giovanni a lot about his character. The difference between slightly positive and neutral might not seem that great, but it is for Giovanni. Alex, who got a good Pokemon and support from Team Rocket, thinks about Team Rocket in only neutral terms. This shows that he is not very grateful for this help or believes that he can pay it back several times more later. If Alex had a slight disdain for Team Rocket, that would show that his morality does not align with Team Rocket. And even though Team Rocket helped him, he disagrees with the work they do. Still, Alex would be willing to continue to work for Team Rocket if it brings him advantages. And therefore, he would have slight contempt and not complete contempt. But this is not the case. Even after the help he received and him not having any problem with the work ethics of Team Rocket, he is neutral towards them. Then what about his slight contempt towards Alliance? The difference between neutral and slight contempt is greater than what it looks like. This is beneficial for Giovanni. It doesn't matter if that was luck or not. You did something that brought Team Rocket benefits. For that, you will be surely rewarded. He took out a briefcase and gave it to Lisa without a word. Lisa thanked him and asked afterward, "Boss, now that I'm an executive, can you tell me more about your plan with Alex and the other talented rookies?" No problem. But I don't have a special plan yet because I want to see who is the strongest rookie after 3 months. Lisa, who didn't understand why Giovanni wanted to wait 3 months, assumed that he probably wanted to observe their improvement rate, though she is not sure about her assumption. "Boss, I have one more question about the Alliance if that's okay." Giovanni showed a friendly smile. "Of course, Lisa. As an executive, you should know important secrets like that. Like the fact that we have 3 Team Rocket members as gym leaders. And this number may soon become 4. I am sure that I can answer your question." Lisa, who heard this, recognized how much higher the position from executive to elite captain is. The difference is really big. I always wanted to ask why Team Rocket never tries to control an Elite 4 member and puts more energy on the gym leaders? Don't the Elite 4 have the highest power in the Alliance? Why not try to make a Team Rocket member like Koga an Elite 4 member? Haha, this question shows that you really don't understand how the Alliance works. He made a pause before he continued with a smile. Although the positions with the most power are the champions and the Elite 4 of each region, they can't really control the region. First of all, you have to know that the Alliance is divided into 7 parts, and each part controls its own region. Kanto, Johto, Hoenn, Sinnoh, Unova, Alola, and Kalos. After that, you have to know that the power of the Kanto Alliance is very divided. Although it's hard to explain, I'll try to make it as easy as possible. To explain it more simply, we'll talk about the influence in numerical terms. If I were to give points showing the amount of power/influence, it would be like this. 1 equals hardly any influence. 3 equals minor influence. 5 equals relatively influential. 7 equals great influence. 10 is equal to one of the most influential people in the Alliance. 15 equals the most influential individual in the Alliance. I giving this point a term called influence points. Each of the Elite 4 has 10 influence points, and the champion has 15 influence points. Which sounds like a lot but isn't really if you know about the other influencer. First, the 8 official gym leaders have 7 influence points each. Then the mayors of each major city have 3 influence points. The mayors of a small city have only 1 influence points. Then comes the industry. These sectors also have a lot of power because they have an integral role in our society. For example, the largest food company in Kanto has 5 influence points. The clothing company, construction company, sales company, USW have influence points varying from 3 to 5. All relatively large companies in Kanto have a say in the Kanto Alliance, because a large portion of the funding is contributed by them. In addition, there are also the large clans of Kanto. The most well-known should be the Joy and Jenny clan, which are very influential. Only the clan president of the 2 has a value of 10, which shows the amount of influence that these 2 great clans have. Moreover, there are other parties like the professor community, which also has a lot of influence. The representative of the professor community, Professor Samuel Oak, alone, has 10 influence points. As you can see, there are a lot of parties in the Kanto Alliance that control this region. Although the champion and the Elite 4 are indeed one of the most influential people, their influence doesn't even add up to 20%. The Elite 4 is just one of the influential people. Nothing more. Lisa, who heard this, showed an astounded expression. The information Giovanni had given her about the Alliance was very precise, which is really not easy to find out for a regular person. Boss, if the Alliance is as divided as you say, then how do they control Kanto? The champion and the Elite 4 have enough power to change small things in Kanto and make small decisions for the Alliance. When big decisions have to be made, they will vote with the most influential people to decide. Although they do discuss before the election, normally, each party chooses what is most advantageous for them. Lisa saw how difficult it is to control the alliance and realized why Giovanni was unwilling to sacrifice many resources to get an Elite Four member. Although it's nice to have one, it's not very important to Team Rocket. She could understand Giovanni's step in choosing gym leaders and other medium-sized parties. Chapter 115. Alex took some super potions out of his TRH device and started healing his Pokemon. Although Kirlia has a healing move, it is not on expert rank. And therefore, it is worse than a super potion. Only Sizer's Roost has a better effect than super potion, so he doesn't need any healing items. Then he looked at the area he wanted to explore next. Although other areas have many enticing things, Area 10 has one particular item that piqued Alex's interest. Area 10 hashtag. Danger level. Orange. Pokemon leader. Mid-elite Onix. Very aggressive. Rare Pokemon, Phanpy. Rare items. Moonstone. Rare items only shows items that can be often found in this area. This means that there are probably a lot of Moonstone in this rocky area. Although Alex doesn't own a Pokemon for whom Moonstone is useful, Moonstones are generally valuable and a great way to make quick money, especially if you can find the mid and high Moonstones. Finding top Moonstones is very unlikely but not impossible, especially in this area, which was very appealing to Alex. Top Moonstones cannot be bought just like that. Such valuable items are often sold in big auctions for a lot of money. Although Alex doesn't know the value a top Moonstone can be auctioned, he guessed that it has to be at least 1 million Pokedollars. Probably even more. A lot more. Although he has a way to make money, it is not very safe to do it frequently. He can't sell too many silver Pokemon at once, or else someone will find out that something is wrong. Although he can probably earn several million Pokedollars after a few months, it is unfortunately not enough for Alex now. He now has 6 Pokemon who eat expensive food every day, which costs him an average of 6,000 Pokedollars daily. In addition, training items and healing items cost around 2,000 daily. He trains daily. That means that he spends at least 8,000 Pokedollars per day. Probably even more if you factor in other things. This way, he loses at least 240,000 Pokedollars per month. However, it is most likely more than 300,000 Pokedollars, because of Pokemon that eat more like Sheldon. This is without taking into account the purchase of TMs or valuable Pokemon items. Although he can probably make 1 million Pokedollars a month if he stays in a city, Alex thinks he can make even more money on this island. While a bit more dangerous, the rewards are really very good. If the map doesn't have any wrong information, there are various valuable items on this island that are just waiting to be found. Alex was very pleased with Giovanni's reward. For him, it's even better than a gold Pokemon. As long as he uses the information given to him wisely and is careful enough, this island is not really dangerous for him. He can also train his Pokemon faster on this island, which is also a great advantage. Alex and his Pokemon slowly left Area 3 and started to enter neighboring Area 10. This area is connected to the sand coast and turns into a rocky and uneven area. Many different rock, ground, and steel-type Pokemon were visible when Alex entered this area. Nosepass, Geodude, and Sandshrew were commonly found Pokemon here. He also saw a few silver Pokemon among those Pokemon. Although Alex would like to capture all these Pokemon, he doesn't have enough food to give them. Pokemon can survive for a long time without food. It's bad for training if Pokemon don't eat every day. But 2 months is asking for too much. Pokemon in the Pokeballs consume their food much more slowly, and therefore can stay in these Pokeballs for a long time. It is okay to leave a caught Pokemon for at least 3 weeks without food in the Pokeball, as long as it has not entered the Pokeball with an empty stomach. Alex, who wanted to save food, will only start catching Pokemon in the last 3 weeks. Of course, if he finds a gold Pokemon or a valuable silver Pokemon, he won't miss the opportunity. As he moved around the big area, almost all of the Pokemon in the wild avoided them. These Pokemon were able to assess Alex's Pokemon well and didn't want to provoke Alex. Although a few very aggressive Pokemon, who couldn't use their mind properly, still attacked Alex. And they were quickly defeated by Alex's Pokemon. Alex suddenly saw a strong Pokemon arrogantly walking in his direction. Pokémon Golem. LV 40. Type Rock/Ground. Abilities: Sturdy. Gender: Male. Potential: Deep Silver. Move: Defense Curl, Tackle, Sand Attack, Bide, Rock Throw, Stealth Rock, Takedown, Self-Destruct, Rock Slide, Double Edge. Innate Talent: Earthquake, E. Earthquake on the expert rank is really good. Deep Silver isn't bad either. It's a shame that I don't like his talent, Nor is he any good compared to my Pokemon. The only advantage he has is that he is an elite Pokemon. But convincing these arrogant Pokemon is really not worth the effort. I'd rather catch it and sell it for good money. Hush. Hush. Don't say it. Even if Alex has to sacrifice a bit of his excellent Pokemon food to catch this Golem, it is well worth the effort. Golem is a popular Pokemon species that can be sold for a good amount of money. The Earthquake had ranked on the expert, and it is at the elite level, so it should fetch a lot of money. Especially when you consider that silver Pokemon are still relatively rare. Alex saw that his Pokemon were in an alert position and tried to warn Golem to not come near. And yet, this arrogant Pokemon was still slowly moving towards them without any care. Alex could understand these arrogant Pokemon a bit. Usually, elite Pokemon are not afraid of other non-elite Pokemon even if they are in a group. As long as this group does not have many Pokemon higher than LV35, it will not be afraid of group battles. Maybe if Alex had 3 LV39 Pokemon, Golem wouldn't dare to be so arrogant. But because Alex's Pokemon have relatively low levels, Golem was not afraid. Fortunately, Alex's Pokemon are very well trained, making them a lot stronger than regular wild Pokemon. Even though he's weaker than Kingler, he has a really annoying move. Alex thought as he noticed that they are just about in Golem's range of attack. Chapter 116, Bonus Chapter. Self-destruct move is very deadly in this world. Especially if the Pokemon using it is on elite rank. The user of the self-destruct move not only becomes unconscious, but also suffers grave injuries that can be fatal if not healed immediately. While the possibility of a Pokemon using this move in the wild is very unlikely, it is not impossible. Some Pokemon are so vengeful that they would prefer to lose their lives to kill or injure their enemy. Alex saw Golem coming closer and closer with an arrogant expression and took his Pokeballs out of his belt. After retrieving all of the Pokemon except Crobat, he gave Crobat a command. Crobat, take me 150 meters away from here. Crobat, who thought that they would fight here, looked confusingly at Alex but immediately did as Alex said. Alex flew away with Crobat, and Golem had a victorious look on his face seeing that. After only a few seconds of flying, Crobat landed again. Although Golem and Alex could still see each other, they were way too far to attack each other. Alex looked coldly towards Golem and took all his Pokemon out of their Pokeballs again. Kirlia, Calm Mind. Sizer, use Focus Energy and Agility. Shereldon, Rock Polish. Alex's Pokemon looked confused at first, but after they saw Alex looking sharply in the direction of Golem, they showed an understanding look. Their trainer was really vengeful. Golem saw Alex and figured out that Alex did not run away but simply created a distance between them and became a little confused. But when he saw Alex's Pokemon using reinforcement moves, he showed a thoughtful expression. After several seconds of intense thinking, he finally understood that Alex wasn't actually scared but wanted to reinforce his Pokemon before starting the fight. Golem looked angry and started running at his fastest speed towards Alex. Golem is slow, but that is compared to normal Pokemon. His speed cannot be compared to a human's running speed. Alex saw this Golem running like a juggernaut and watched calmly. Golem's smartest options would have been to run away or reinforce himself with Defense Curl. He could have also filled the battle area with Stealth Rock so that Alex's Crobat would have a problem in flying freely. But he is too arrogant with his elite rank strength. And this arrogance will lead to his demise in this battle. Do Golem have their brain made of stones too, or is this Golem particularly gifted? Kirlia and Shereldon, who had already been reinforced to maximum, got ready to fight. Sizer seemed to need a little longer to reinforce himself to the max. Ditto, transforms yourself into Kirlia. After that, both of you use Helping Hand on each other. Alex, who could understand the strength and usefulness of Ditto from the last 2 team fights, wondered why no Pokemon trainer trains a Ditto. Although it is not particularly strong in 1v/S1 battle, its usefulness in team battle is abnormally high. As the Golem came in the combat range, Alex had 2 Kirlia who had been buffed up to the maximum with the Calm Mind and Helping Hand, Sizer with max agility and focus energy buff, and Shereldon with max rock polish buff. As soon as the Golem was in range to attack Alex and his Pokemon, it began to prepare a move. Alex immediately ran out of Golem's attack range together with Torchic. He didn't want to be accidentally hit by an expert rank Earthquake from an elite Pokemon. Earthquake works differently in this world than in Alex's world, but is not necessarily more harmless. When the move Earthquake is used, the ground will produce a strong vibration with the user as the center point. This will cause severe internal damage to any Pokemon that comes into contact with this vibration. This move does a lot more damage here than in the game, making it very popular among the trainers. Although this move is very strong in this respect, It has several weak points. 1. The further a Pokemon is from the central point of the move, the lesser damage it takes. 2. The move can only be kept up for 1 or 2 seconds if it is not on the expert rank. Pokemon can just jump up to avoid this move. 3. Flying-type Pokemon or Pokemon who can levitate cannot be damaged by this move as long as they remain in the air. Unfortunately, Golem has made that move on the expert rank, which is really bad for Alex. Although Alex's Pokemon are around 30 meters away, the range of an elite Pokemon with an expert rank Earthquake is relatively large. So Alex's Pokemon would still take a plentiful amount of damage. If Alex were this Golem's trainer, he wouldn't be using Earthquake from this relatively long distance. It's just very ineffective. For example, he could defeat Kirlia with 1 Earthquake if Kirlia was right in front of him and would not have to use the move several times to defeat Kirlia. Kirlia, Ditto, use Magical Leaf. Sizer, use Metal Claw after Ditto and Kirlia's attack. Although the 2 times Magical Leaf with Calm Mind and Helping Hand buff would have defeat Golem immediately, Alex had felt that the Golem would probably withstand it. Elite-ranked Pokemon is really no joke. Especially if Alex's Pokemon have a 67 level difference. Kirlia and Ditto used Magical Leaf, and a large storm of Magical Leaf leaves quickly flew towards Golem. At the same time, Golem used Earthquake and made the whole earth shake strongly in its surroundings. Sizer, who was running straight towards Golem, took most of the damage and spat out blood from his mouth. He also briefly stopped running in the direction of Golem. Golem, who did not stop using Earthquake, did even more damage to Sizer, who also did not stop spitting blood. Alex's other Pokemon also suffered a bit of damage, but not as much as Sizer, who was relatively close. Fortunately, Golem was then hit by the combined Magical Leaf Storm and could no longer seem to keep up as he was crying out loud in pain. Golem's whole body had deep cuts and spouts of gray liquid. His entire body looked like he had just been hit by 100 sharp swords. Even though the Golem was so badly damaged, it was not unconscious yet. Sizer took the chance and ran swiftly in front of Golem with silver glowing claws. He used his full speed that he had built up and used Metal Claw. Golem was hit in the head by Sizer and flew like a soccer ball several meters before he fell unconscious to the ground. Without a word, Alex brought out a super potion and a great ball as he looked in the direction of Sizer to check whether Golem was really unconscious. Sizer nodded, and Alex went in front of Golem and began to heal him. Immediately afterward, he used his great ball to catch Golem. Chapter 117. 3 weeks later in Area Number 10. Alex opens his tent and looks at the sun that is just rising. Then he looked up and saw Crobat looking at him on a tree with a passive face. Crobat, who can also perceive creatures while sleeping, is really a very good Pokemon for monitoring the night. After 3 weeks, Alex has seen most of this area relatively well. Although he has not seen all of this large area yet, he saw most of it. He also meets the Onix who controls this area more than 3 times. The map didn't lie when it said that this Onix is very aggressive. Although Alex hadn't provoked it, it attacked Alex immediately when it saw him. Alex saw how strong this Onix was and ran away with his Pokemon. A level 54 gold Pokemon is not a Pokemon Alex wants and can fight. Although Alex's Pokemon have easily won against Golem, this Onix is not comparable. Alex, who knows how important levels are in this world, knows that Onix can probably defeat any of his Pokemon with 1 move. If Onix uses a move like Rock Slide that has high attack surfaces, Alex's entire team is defeated. When all of Alex's Pokemon are unconscious, he and his Pokemon are very likely dead. He also learned from his 3 encounters that this Onix was ridiculously fast, and that it can reach similar speeds as Crobat. Although Crobat several levels lower is as Onix, is this performance of speed really impressive. After 3 weeks, Alex found many moonstones which of course he immediately collected. He found 1 top moonstone, 2 high moonstones, 7 mid moonstones, 22 low moonstone. Especially that he found a top moonstone made him particularly pleased. Although he did not need this stone, valuable items like top moonstone can never be too few. Alex can swap it with his friend, Steven, for other items if he really has no other use. Although he can also exchange it for money, it is relatively unnecessary for Alex who doesn't necessarily need money. But Alex not only found valuable moonstones but also greatly increased the strength of his Pokemon. All of his Pokemon have become stronger from fighting every day. It's really true that the fastest way to train is in the wild. Although it is dangerous, the benefits are really good.
Alex Pokémon.
Pokemon. Crobat. LV. 38. Type. Poison/flying. Abilities. Inner focus. Gender. Male. Potential. Gold. Moves. Absorb, Supersonic, Astonish, Bite, Wing Attack, Confuse Ray, Swift, Haze, Leech Life, Mean Look. Innate Talent, Shadow Ball, E. Innate Talent, Fly, E. Innate Talent, Cross Poison, E. TM, Protect, TM, Toxic, TM, Sludge Bomb, TM, Facade, TM, Taunt. Pokemon. Sizer. LV. 37. Type. Bug/Steel. Abilities. Technician. Gender. Male. Potential. Gold. Moves. Leer, Quick Attack, Focus Energy, Double Team, Feint, Fury Cutter, Wing Attack, Agility, Slash, Razor Wind, Iron Defense. Innate Talent, Roost, E. Innate Talent, Metal Claw, E. Innate Talent, Brick Break, E. TM, Protect, TM, Toxic, TM, Thief, TM, Facade, TM, Giga Impact, TM, U-Turn, TM, Sandstorm, TM, Substitutes. Pokemon. Kirlia. LV. 34. Type. Psychic/Fairy. Abilities. Telepathy. Gender. Female. Potential. Gold. Move. Growl, Confusion, Double Team, Teleport, Disarming Voice, Lucky Chant, Magical Leaf, Heal Pulse, Draining Kiss, Psychic. Innate Talent, Disable, E. Innate Talent, Calm Mind, E. Innate Talent, Dazzling Gleam, E. TM, Protect, TM, Shadow Ball, TM, Will-O-Wisp, TM, Thunderbolt, TM, Thunderwave, TM, Helping Hand. Pokemon. Ditto. LV. 35. Type. Normal. Abilities. Imposter, Hidden Ability. Gender. Genderless. Potential. Silver. Move. Innate Talent. Transform, E. Pokemon. Sheldon. LV. 30. Type. Rock/Steel. Abilities. Sturdy. Gender. Male. Potential. Gold. Move. Protect, Tackle, Taunt, Metal Sound, Takedown, Iron Defense, Swagger, Ancient Power. Innate Talent. Rock Polish, E. Innate Talent. Sleep Talk. Innate Talent. Flamethrower, E. Pokemon. Torchic. LV. 15. Type. Fire. Abilities. Speed Boost. Hidden Ability. Gender. Female. Potential. Shallow Gold. Move. Growl, Scratch, Ember, Sand Attack, Peck. Innate Talent, Attract. Innate Talent, Sunny Day. Innate Talent, Overheat, E. Many things have changed in these 3 weeks. First, Sizer, Sheldon, and Torchic each learned at least one new move. Sizer learned Iron Defense. Sheldon learned Ancient Power. Torchic learned Sand Attack and Peck. Alex was especially happy when Sizer suddenly told him after a fight that he now knows how to use Iron Defense. Although it is strange for Alex, who is still familiar with the logic of his old world, the Pokemon suddenly learn moves, it seems to be completely normal in this world's awareness. He thinks it's similar to the instincts of animals in Alex's old world. Before he came into this world, Alex didn't wonder why animals have instincts. It was just a normal law of nature for him. Now that Sizer can use the move Iron Defense, Alex is overloaded with the move he wants to train Sizer. Sizer, who has not yet trained Focus Energy and Agility on the expert, has now received a further reinforcement move with Iron Defense. After long deliberation, Alex has decided to let Sizer only train these 3 moves. If he has these 3 moves on the expert, and Sizer can strengthen himself when running fast. In addition, his reinforcements will be even more effective if he trains these moves on the expert rank. Although training these moves is not really useful now, the advantages in the future are very great. Alex prefers to invest time in these moves now rather than later. In addition, Alex's 3 strongest Pokemon have managed to train all their innate talent moves to the expert rank. Sheldon and Torchic also managed to train 1 move more to the expert rank. Flamethrower and Overheat. Another thing Alex noticed in these 3 weeks that 2 of his Pokemon technically have to evolve, or at least in the games. Kirlia and Sheldon showed no signs of evolving even though they finally reached the evolving level. Alex didn't worry though. He thinks it has to do with the fact that Kirlia and Sheldon are very young. Although he can't prove it, he thinks it is very likely. Although Alex was happy about a lot of things in these 2 weeks, the thing that happened on the 13th day was really special for him. On the 13th day in Area 10 at breakfast, Alex noticed something. When he looked at the status of his Pokemon from time to time, he suddenly saw something very surprised. Sheldon eating his breakfast was suddenly a gold Pokemon when Alex checked his status again. Alex saw the scream loudly and started laughing. The fact that Sheldon has increased his potential through the help of his expensive food has resulted in unexpected feelings of happiness. Although Alex's Pokemon looked at him strangely when her trainer screams out loud and laughed for no reason, Alex ignored Curlia's worried looks. Though he looked annoyed when Scizor and Crobat looked at him with sympathetic eyes. Alex knows these two Pokemon too well not to know that they are making fun of him. As a revenge to these two Pokemon, he slightly increased their training plan for this day without saying a word. Although Scizor and Crobat later noticed what Alex was about to do and want to start to complain to Alex, but only saw Alex, who showed a sympathetic expression to their complaints. Chapter 118. Alex, who has been in this area for 3 weeks, has already chosen his next destination. Area 14 #. Danger level. Orange. Pokemon leader. Mid-elite Pidgeot, very fast. Rare Pokemon, Eevee. Rare items. Pecha Berry. Area 14 has a Pokemon that Alex would like to add to his team. Eevee, the Pokemon with the most different evolution, is a very popular Pokemon with trainers. Of course, the cuteness of Eevee also helps to make it so popular. Although Alex would like to catch an Eevee, he only wants to catch it if it has good potential. He doesn't want to catch a bronze Eevee and then sacrifice a lot of money to improve its potential. Although he is rich, Alex is not rich enough to throw away his money. When Alex walked from the stony area of 10 # to the wooded area of Area 14, he saw no Pokemon in this dense forest. He looked at Crobat and told him to lead the group. Crobat, who can perceive other Pokemon well, is a good Pokemon to guide Alex through this forest. Crobat was leading wordless Alex and his Pokemon through the forest when he suddenly looked at Alex. Then he said something to Alex who didn't understand, although he thinks it is probably a warning that he discovered a Pokemon. Curlia quickly translated Crobat's words to Alex so that he could understand quickly and not have to guess Crobat's expression. There is a group of 25 Pokemon on a tree. What do you want to do? Alex, who heard this information, showed a thoughtful expression. He knew that Eevee is probably not a Pokemon that would stay on the tree, which makes it very likely that it is another Pokemon. Probably a bug or a flying-type Pokemon. There might be a gold Pokemon in this group. Although Alex thinks this is very unlikely, he couldn't suppress the thought when he followed Crobat to lead him to this group. After 5 minutes, Crobat stopped behind a tree and looked at a tree 20 meters away. Alex saw that immediately, looking at the tree, and saw a real creeping scene on the tree. 25 spider-like Pokemon were all spread out on the head of a tree. These Pokemon were Spinarak and Gyarados, who sat on the spider nets they built. Even if Alex wasn't scared of spiders, he had to admit that he was a bit scared of these big spiders. A spider that is longer than his legs is really not an easy sight to look at, especially when there are so many big spiders. He then looks at the information of this group. In this group, there were 17 Spinarak and 8 Gyarados. The 17 Spinarak were split between levels 323 and had a potential between shallow bronze and deep silver. The 7 Gyarados were split between levels 2234 and had a potential between deep bronze and silver. Alex, who saw the high average talent of this group, thought that this leader also had a very good potential, was disappointed when he saw the information. Pokemon. Gyarados. LV. 37. Type. Bug/poison. Abilities. Swarm. Gender. Female. Potential. Shallow silver. Moves. Constrict, Poison Sting, String Shot, Absorb, Infestation, Scary Face, Nightshade, Shadow Sneak, Fury Swipes, Sucker Punch, Spider Web, Agility. Innate talent. Psychic, E. Not only was the potential not the highest of his group, but also completely average in his group. This again shows that the leader of a group does not necessarily have to have the best potential. Alex, who saw this group, looked at his Pokemon and started walking away. Although this group has several silver Pokemon, Alex is not worth fighting with this group. Not only do they have almost 5 times as many Pokemon, but they are very skilled in fighting in the forest. Together with that, this group didn't have a Pokemon which had particularly good potential, made it an easy choice for Alex. As he slowly walked away, he suddenly saw a small group of 4 Rattata and 1 Raticate running quickly in the direction of this tree. Behind this small group, a large group of Pidgeotto and Pidgey was the chase after that group. The small group of Rattata and Raticate that were followed did not have time to pay attention to their surroundings, and ran to the tree of Spinarak and Gyarados. Alex, who could imagine what would happen next, looked interested at the scene. He wanted to know how the Spinarak and Gyarados would react. Although he had a suspicion, he wanted to know if the Spinarak and Gyarados really do what he imagines. After a few seconds, Alex saw a very bloody scene. 25 spider-like Pokemon attacked the group of 5 at the same time. They quickly used their moves to knock the weak prey unconscious and immediately began to cut the prey into pieces. Pokemon that pass out can be killed much more easily, which this group takes advantage of. The fight didn't last a few seconds before the group of Spinarak and Gyarados killed their prey. Alex, who saw this efficiency of killing, understood why assassins like these Pokemon so much. It really is a good and quick killer if it is not detected. Chapter 119. Alex, who was expecting a fight between the Gyarados group and Pidgeotto, was disappointed when he saw the two groups seemingly ignoring each other and didn't start attacking each other. He understood why the Gyarados group ignores the Pidgeotto group. In this area, there is an elite Pokemon that is of the same species as this group of Pidgeotto, so it makes sense that this group of Gyarados does not want to accidentally provoke a strong elite Pokemon, but he doesn't understand why the Pidgeotto group doesn't want to fight. Maybe because Gyarados is a poison-type Pokemon is a reason why this group of Pidgeotto doesn't want to fight? Alex watched wordlessly as the group of Gyarados wrapped their dead prey in cocoons. This scene reminds him of normal spiders who even wrap their prey alive in cocoons. After seeing the team fighting ability of this group of Gyarados, there is no way he wants to fight this group. He showed Crobat a signal. 5 hours later, Alex, who walked through this forest, saw a lot of Pokemon. Most of the Pokemon were weak and bug or grass Pokemon that you can find elsewhere. Although he sometimes encountered relatively strong Pokemon, they were quickly defeated by his Pokemon. Fortunately, Alex also finds a small group of 3 Eevee. But when he saw the potential of this group, he was very disappointed. 1 Bronze Eevee and 2 Deep Bronze Eevee was really not good. Although the potential was bad, one other thing was very troubling about these Pokemon. Each of these 3 Eevee was very cowardly and ran away immediately if there was another Pokemon in sight. It was even more visible when Alex surrounded the 3 Eevee and blocked their escape route. The 3 Eevee showed no will to fight when they were surrounded by Alex. They only showed very anxious expressions and no signs of wanting to fight to defend themselves. One of these Eevee even started crying as Alex and his Pokemon got closer. Alex, who had seen this cowardice, had enough. He walked away wordlessly with his Pokemon and made these cowards run away. As soon as Alex and his Pokemon went away, the 3 Eevee ran like their lives were at stake. Is that a joke? Is it just these 3 Eevee, or does the whole species have such a personality? Alex suddenly looked at his TRH device and saw that he had received a message from Professor Whalter. The message said, "Alex, call me back." Alex looked a bit confused when he received such a message from the professor. Although Alex and the professor had a good chat after the tournament, he didn't hear from the professor after the tournament. After a few seconds, Alex called the professor. "Hello, this is Professor Whalter speaking." "Hey Professor Whalter, this is Alex." "Ah, Alex, good that you call back. I have one thing I want to talk to you about. Do you have a few minutes?" "Sure, Professor Whalter. What's wrong?" "Oh no, there is nothing wrong. I just wanted to invite you to an auction." "An auction? You don't mean the big auction that the Alliance holds for its members?" "Yes, exactly this event. Are you interested in participating?" Alex heard about the big Alliance auctions. These auctions not only auction rare Pokemon but also very rare Pokemon items that you normally cannot buy. Unfortunately, you have to be a high member of the Alliance to receive an invitation, so most trainers cannot attend such auctions. "Professor, that sounds great, but am I allowed to take part in it?" "Haha, Alex, you may not know that, but normally we always invite the top 3 of the Kanto Rookie Tournament." Alex, who heard this, heard a word that sounds a bit abnormal in this sentence. Normally, this word sounds normal as long as you don't think about why sometimes the top 3 is not invited. "That sounds great, Professor Whalter. When does the auction start?" "Celadon City in 30 days at 4 p.m. I will show you the exact location when you are in town." "Okay, Professor. I'll be there in 30 days. Goodbye." "Goodbye, Alex." Alex, who thought about the course of the conversation, was wondering if this might be a trap from the Alliance to catch him. Although he wasn't particularly suspicious of this conversation, he thought there was a possibility that it really was a trap for him. If it's really a trap, the Alliance should know that I'm a Team Rocket member, which is really unlikely. Can it really be a trap? Maybe I'm just too suspicious. But I should still inform me. Alex called Lisa after a few seconds. Although he thinks it is unlikely that it is really a trap, he wants to hear the opinion of a high person in Team Rocket to play it safe. 3 minutes later, Alex, who just finished talking to Lisa, was convinced that it is very likely not a trap. Lisa, who was able to confirm that the Alliance really invited the top 3 rookies from the tournament every year and had never used this event as a trap, could bring Alex a calm conscience about this auction. Chapter 120. Bonus Chapter. Alex, who successfully soothed his troubled thoughts, continued looking for a good Eevee. Although this meeting with the group of 3 Eevee was not optimal, Alex doesn't think that every Eve is like that. After a few minutes, Alex suddenly smelled a familiar odor. It's a bit like honey if you don't know the smell, but Alex, who recognized this smell immediately, knew that this smell came from a Pokemon and not from honey. Victreebel? No, it can also be another grass Pokemon. Though probably only Victreebel eats the meat of other Pokemon. Carnivine is possible, too. Alex, who knew how this trap worked, slowly followed the smell with his Pokemon. After 2 minutes, Alex and his Pokemon came in front of a bush that gave off a strong honey smell. Alex had to look at the small part at the bottom of the bush to see the information about the Pokemon. Pokemon. Victreebel. LV. 37. Type. Grass/poison. Abilities. Chlorophyll. Gender. Male. Potential. Deep Silver. Moves. Vine Whip. Growth. Wrap. Acid. Sleep Powder. Poison Powder. Stun Spore. Razor Leaf. Poison Jab. E. Innate Talent. Mega Drain. E. Alex smiled as he said, "Which of you want to do this fight?" Sizer immediately showed an interesting expression when they heard Alex's question. Crobat, who saw this, said with a disdainful expression, "That you want to fight doesn't surprise me in the least. This is the only chance you have to win a fight." Sizer, who heard this, showed an annoyed expression when he said, "You can't even hold your big mouth for 1 minute. Nobody thinks you're dead if you don't speak. What did you say, you grill tong? Stop calling me grill tong or I'll send you flying. Oh, you want to fight?" Alex, who heard the exact words from Kirlia via telepathy, showed an angry expression when he heard the talk from his 2 Pokemon. "Shut up, both of you. If you say one word again, I will double your training for a week." Crobat, who knows that Alex would really do this, stopped speaking and just looked at Sizer with contempt. Sizer, who usually doesn't mind training a little more, didn't really want to train that much. He knew that double training is really a hell of a lot of training and that his whole body would probably be full of pain at the end of the day. When Alex saw that both of them finally shut up, he said with a slight voice, "Kirlia will do this fight." Although Ditto is 1 level higher than Kirlia, Ditto is not really strong in 1v/S1 battles. Alex didn't test it, but he thinks Ditto would probably lose 1 versus 1 against Kirlia. Kirlia gave a slight smile when she heard that she was allowed to fight. After the fight with Misty's Dugong, she hadn't fought a strong Pokemon anymore, and even the fight with Dugong wasn't a real 1 versus 1 because Dugong was poisoned. Kirlia, use Calm Mind as often as you can before you fight. Kirlia nodded and started using Calm Mind. Alex knew that Kirlia probably didn't have a good chance against Victreebel without the reinforcements from Calm Mind, so that he decided to let Kirlia fight reinforced against Victreebel. After Kirlia used Calm Mind to the max, Alex said, "Use Psychic." Kirlia, who used Psychic about 20 meters away from Victreebel, who was hiding as a bush, easily hit Victreebel with this move. To Alex, this attack looked like an invisible, large hammer had been slammed into the bush. Victreebel, who has suffered severe damage, comes out of the earth and looks at the attacker who attacked him. After seeing Kirlia, he looked angry when his eyes showed a dangerous light. Kirlia showed no expression of fear when she saw this threatening expression and began to prepare another move. Victreebel, who saw that Kirlia was not afraid of him and wanted to keep fighting, began to prepare a move. Kirlia used Psychic again and did more harm to Victreebel's body. Victreebel's body now had a number of spots that emitted green blood and didn't look so healthy anymore. Victreebel, who finished shortly after Kirlia used Razor Leaf. Kirlia, who immediately used Teleport, barely managed to avoid the attack by Victreebel. Kirlia used Will-O-Wisp. Kirlia heard Alex's words, then began to prepare for this move. Victreebel, who saw that Kirlia dodged his attack, showed an angry expression as he prepared another move. To Alex's slight surprise, Victreebel finished first and used the move Mega Drain before Kirlia used her move. Although it is not really surprising that an expert move is finished faster than a normal move even if it starts to prepare slightly later. Victreebel created small green projects that fly quickly in the direction of Kirlia, which is still preparing its move. Kirlia was hit by the attack and suffered severe damage. After that one hit, she lost more than 30% of her HP. Alex, who saw this, did not show a surprised expression. Kirlia HP is really bad, so it's not surprising that she takes so much damage from this one move. Victreebel, who successfully hit his move, healed his wounds and caused his body to stop bleeding. This is really an annoying move. If a Pokemon can't do enough damage, it's very hard to defeat this Victreebel. When Alex thought about it, Kirlia was successfully using Will-O-Wisp and hit the slow Victreebel with this move. Victreebel, who was on fire, now showed a painful expression as he prepared his next move. Alex, who knows that Will-O-Wisp made more harm to grass Pokemon in this world, showed a smile. Kirlia used Psychic and Teleport as long as this Victreebel can still fight. Now that Victreebel is hit by Will-O-Wisp, the damage he and Psychic suffered will be way too much to be able to heal with Mega Drain. Although Kirlia can harm him enough with Psychic even without Will-O-Wisp, this method is much faster. After 2 minutes, Alex looked at an unconscious Victreebel and an exhausted Kirlia. Kirlia, who used Teleport a lot, wasted a lot of energy in this one fight. Alex just wanted to pull out a Pokeball to catch Victreebel when he suddenly saw Kirlia start to glow. Kirlia, who slowly began to be glow all over her body, showed an excited expression. Alex quickly pulled out the 20 Lugia scales that he had saved for that moment and gave them to Kirlia. Kirlia began to absorb as much psychic energy as possible from these scales. After absorbing 3 Lugia scales, she stopped and started changing her shape. Alex, who saw how a little girl grew up into an adult, couldn't help but think that children grow up quickly. She grows up a little too fast, thought Alex with a sad expression. Chapter 121. Kirlia, surrounded by light, is slowly changing its shape. Kirlia, who was the size of a little girl, was slowly becoming as big as an adult human. After a few seconds, Kirlia stopped glowing and showed her new shape to the world.
Pokémon, Gardevoir.
LV. 35. Type: Psychic/Fairy. Abilities: Telepathy. Gender: Female. Potential: Deep Gold. Move: Growl, Confusion, Double Team, Teleport, Disarming Voice, Lucky Chant, Magical Leaf, Heal Pulse, Draining Kiss, Psychic, Imprison. Innate Talent: Disable E. Innate Talent: Calm Mind E. Innate Talent: Dazzling Gleam E. TM: Protect, TM: Shadow Ball, TM: Will-O-Wisp, TM: Thunderbolt, TM: Thunderwave, TM: Helping Hand. Gardevoir, who started to open her eyes, looked at Alex, who felt indescribable. She could feel the messed up feelings of Alex, and she became a little worried about that. She felt joy, worry, sadness, pride at the same time from her father, which would best describe his mixed feelings. She walked in the direction of her father and hugged him like she has done so many times. Alex saw how Gardevoir hugged him like when she was little and could hardly suppress his emotions. It reminds him of when he told Ralts that she can always hug him. Although he wants to start crying, he managed to suppress his feelings. He started to suppress the sad thoughts and stroked Gardevoir's hair like he has done many times. Although she was now almost as tall as Alex, Alex could still stroke her head relatively easily. Gardevoir felt Alex's hand on her head and gave a slight smile as she said, "Father, I'm grown up already." Alex, who heard this, shakes her head and said, "No, you will always be my little daughter, no matter how old you are." Gardevoir showed a pout expression but was internally happy about Alex's statement. The little worry that her father no longer likes her after her evolution was completely gone, as if it was never possible. After the exchange with Alex, the other Pokemon also come to Gardevoir to congratulate her successful evolution. Even Scizor and Crobat say a few warm words to her. Although the two seem relatively cold, the feelings the Gardevoir can feel from these two Pokemon are not insignificant or small. Alex, who saw this, was not surprised that the Gardevoir was so popular with each of his Pokemon. She has so many good qualities that it is normal for her to be so popular with other Pokemon. As his Pokemon talked to each other, Alex thought about the new strength of Gardevoir. Kirlia, who had successfully evolved to Gardevoir, is now many times stronger as previously. Kirlia, with a total base stats of 278, is really not a strong Pokemon species. Compared to Gardevoir's 518 total base stats, Kirlia is really a good deal weaker. Especially if you include the increase in SP/ATK from 65 to 125, this evolution is especially important for Gardevoir's strength. In addition, Gardevoir's potential has improved successfully, what makes her the Pokemon with the best potential in Alex's team. He also noticed that Gardevoir can now do the move Imprison, which may be useful for him later. Although this move is likely to have similar restrictions as the Disable or Taunt, it is probably still useful at times. Alex took a Pokeball and caught the Victreebel that Gardevoir had defeated. Of course, he still healed Victreebel's wounds before he caught him. Now that he can stay on this island for only 25 days because of the auction, it is now worthwhile to catch every silver Pokemon he can. He no longer has to worry about having not enough food to feed every caught Pokemon because he won't stay on this island that long. Alex, who was just thinking, suddenly noticed that it was slowly getting darker. He looked at the sun that slowly went down and said, "Gardevoir, teleport us to our camp." Gardevoir nodded and teleport Alex and his Pokemon to the camp where they slept last night. Area 1 #. Danger level: Green. Pokemon leader: Mid-elite Butterfree, strong, but does not attack trainers unprovoked. Rare Pokemon. None. Rare items. None. When Alex and his Pokemon were teleported in Area 1, Alex immediately opened his TRH device and started setting up his camp. Alex and his Pokemon always sleep in Area 1 and teleport back when it's morning. The reason Alex sleeps here is pretty simple. It's very safe here. Although the Pokemon are very strong in this area, they never attack trainers unprovoked, which makes it very safe. In addition, almost only berry eaters live in this area, which makes it particularly safe again. Besides, after sleeping here he can teleport back to the area where he was last time so that he doesn't even lose time to sleep here. Alex, who finished building his camp, looked at his Pokemon and started calling everyone except Crobat back to the Pokeball. Crobat nodded to Alex and flew to the tree above Alex's tent to get a better range with his perception ability. Alex, who knows that he is protected by Crobat, started to fall asleep. Chapter 122. Chapter 122. In the early morning, Alex starts to get up slowly. As always, he starts to get his Pokemon out of their Pokeballs before he does something else. After that, he starts to prepare breakfast for him and his Pokemon. Alex's Pokemon that come out of their Pokeballs greet each other and start talking to each other a bit as Alex prepares breakfast for them. Torchic is the first to run to Gardevoir and speak loudly to Gardevoir. Big sister, I had such a great dream yesterday. I was a strong and beautiful Blaziken who defeated the strongest Pokemon there is in the world. Gardevoir, who heard the excited words of Torchic, said with a smile, "Oh really, that sounds pretty impressive. Although it's just a dream, I think that you will definitely become a strong and beautiful Blaziken like in this dream." Torchic expressed an excited expression at Gardevoir's statement and said, "Really, big sister? That sounds great. I can't wait to become a strong and beautiful Blaziken." Gardevoir just smiled softly when she said, "Yes, I really believe that. By the way, which Pokemon did you defeat in your dream?" Torchic smiled as she innocently said, "Of course the future strongest Pokemon will be a Pokemon from our family, which is probably Sizer before I defeat him." After saying that, she gave a nervous smile as she quickly said, "Ah, of course big sister is very strong too." Gardevoir just smiled softly and began to stroke Torchic's head when she heard these words. Sizer and Crobat, who also heard the conversation, showed different expressions of Torchic's statement. Sizer showed a proud expression and Crobat showed an annoyed one. Crobat, who saw Sizer's proud expression, said, "What are you so proud of, you grill tongs? Do you really think that a dream will make you the strongest Pokemon in this group?" Sizer just smiled when he said, "No, but maybe that I beat you up last time makes me the strongest Pokemon?" Crobat, who heard this, said out loud, "What are you talking about? You only won because you were a little lucky and not because you were stronger." Sizer gave a disdainful expression when he said, "It was clear that you loser would use excuses for your defeat. That doesn't surprise me a bit. Shut up, you pile of scrap, or I'll send you flying. Try it, you fat bat." Alex, who was following the conversation through the telepathy of Gardevoir, showed a small smile when he got an idea of this topic. "Hey Sizer and Crobat, just shut up, I want to say something." Sizer, Crobat, and the other Pokemon stopped talking and waited for Alex to something to say. "Since many of you have become much stronger now, I thought about doing something else in today's training exercise." When Alex saw the confused expressions of his Pokemon, he said out loud, "Welcome everyone, to the Alex Tournament number 2. After the massive success of the first tournament, decided the organizer to hosting another tournament. Today we have 4 incredibly strong Pokemon fightings for the second trophy in this important tournament. In participant box 1, we have the defending champion Sizer, a melee monster that is fast, skilled, and deadly. In participant box 2 we have Crobat, a skilled assassin and one skillful all-rounder who hosts many different types of attacks. In participant box 3 we have Ditto, a master of transformation and a skilled fighter. In participant box 4 we have Gardevoir, a beautiful and strong fighter. She has supernatural skills and superior intelligence, which makes her the favorite of the audience. Sizer, Crobat, and Ditto look at Alex with different emotions. They felt as if Alex wasn't completely fair with the introduction. Torchic looked excited and started to cheer loudly. Shereldon was also looking excited, even if he wasn't cheering as loudly as Torchic. Alex also thought about letting Shereldon take part in this tournament, but after a bit of thought, decided against it. He doesn't think Shereldon can really win against one of the 4 Pokemon in a fight. Maybe in the next tournament where he is already in his final form is it possible and makes sense for him to participate. Sizer looked at Crobat and Gardevoir and said, "Am I imagining this, or was the speech much longer than the last time?" Crobat said thoughtfully, "Yes, you are right. He made this joke a lot longer this time. Gardevoir said with a gentle smile, "Big brother, why do you mind such a harmless little joke so much? Don't you see how happy Torchic is?" Sizer and Crobat look at the cute Torchic jumping excitedly, and couldn't refute the words of Gardevoir. After a few seconds of thought, Alex told the tournament tree to the contestants.
Scizor, Sdito.
Final? V/S?
Crobat vs Gardevoir.
Alex, who saw this tournament tree, could not say for sure which of these Pokemon will win this tournament. Although he has a guess who has the best chance, it is only a guess and can deviate. Like the last tournament where Alex thought the Crobat should win easily, but unexpectedly lost the tournament. Chapter 123. Alex, who is the referee in this tournament, looked at Sizer and Ditto. He waited until both Pokemon were ready and gave the signal to start. Ditto immediately used Transform and surprisingly transformed into Gardevoir and not Sizer. Ditto, who can only transform into Pokemon that he sees at this point in time, was able to see Gardevoir relatively well, who was watching the battle, and therefore transform himself into a Gardevoir. Although Alex isn't sure whether it is allowed to use Transform in a real tournament, and if you can use it like that, he said nothing when Ditto was using the move like that. He doesn't think that it would be fair to ban this type of transform for Ditto, just because it is probably not allowed in official tournaments. Sizer was slightly surprised that Ditto turned into Gardevoir, but he said nothing and started using agility. Although he had to admit that Ditto is not an easy opponent, Sizer wasn't really afraid to fight Ditto. He thinks the Ditto of the 4 participants is probably the weakest in 1v/S1 fights. Ditto wasted no time and at the same time immediately started preparing Will-O-Wisp. Sizer, who had practiced the move agility a bit, was a bit faster and managed to use his move shortly before Ditto's move was done. After not even a second, Ditto used Will-O-Wisp, and Sizer, who wasn't sure he could avoid this move, used Protect. Ditto, who saw that Sizer had blocked his attack, showed no expression and began to prepare Will-O-Wisp again. Ditto knows how much interference and harm Will-O-Wisp can inflict on a Pokemon that is weak against fire through Alex, who explained to him that even status moves do more damage if they are used against Pokemon that are weak against this type. Sizer, who knows that too, knew that he had to quickly find a way around this move before he was crippled by this move. He quickly prepares his next move. Ditto, who was done prepare his next Will-O-Wisp, immediately used it against Sizer, who was using the move Substitutes at the same time. Substitutes in this world function like a second skin that can absorb small amounts of damage. Although this move is not very popular in this world, Alex, who played the Pokemon games, knows how useful the move can be. Alex explained a lot of his tactics to his Pokemon and of course, also explained the peculiarities of the move that the Pokemon can use in great detail. Will-O-Wisp, who hit the second skin of Sizer, did not start to burn directly as it usually did immediately, but began to slowly go out when he made contact with this surface. Ditto, who saw that Sizer found a good way to avoid his best move in this fight, knew that he had to find another way to win. Unfortunately, Ditto's moves aren't on the expert rank like Gardevoir's moves are, with making it impossible to use a move like Disable now. Although Disable can also be used when it is not on the expert rank, the restrictions are too great to be able to use it now. Alex thought it was a shame that Ditto was 2 levels lower than Sizer and therefore couldn't use the move. Ditto immediately started preparing the move Calm Mind. At the same time, Sizer began preparing Sandstorm. Ditto, who has now successfully strengthened himself, was surrounded by a small sandstorm that lightly disturbs his eyesight. He ignored the sandstorm and started using Calm Mind again. Sizer uses the time to use Razor Wind against the ground and slowly uses the dust to make the sandstorm completely opaque for Ditto to see through. Ditto, who used Calm Mind twice, was not afraid that he might not see Sizer and started preparing Thunderbolt. Alex, who saw this, knew why Ditto didn't care that he couldn't see Sizer. Ditto, who transforms into Gardevoir, not only has access to the moves but also to the sense of the Pokemon. Gardevoir, that is a Psychic-type Pokemon, is very good at discovering other Pokemon as long as they are not much stronger than them and it's close enough. Psychic-type Pokemon can even detect Ghost-type Pokemon that can hide in shadows as long as the Ghost Pokemon is not much stronger than the Psychic-type Pokemon is. Can it detect Ghost Pokemon? In comparison, Sizer Sandstrom isn't much better than a Ghost Pokemon for Gardevoir's sense. Sizer, who thinks he's safe in this Sandstrom, started using Agility. Ditto, who knows the positions of Sizer, uses Thunderbolt and hits Sizer on the head, who is not expecting this attack. Sizer's Substitutes was broken instantly, and Sizer was vulnerable again. Sizer, who was confused about why Ditto could hit him, knew that he didn't have time to think, and immediately started running in the direction of Gardevoir. With the reinforcement of the move Agility, Sizer's racing speed is very fast. While running, he also started using the move Metal Claw. Ditto, who felt that Sizer was running quickly in his direction, began to use Teleport and teleport to the edge of the arena. Then he immediately starts using Thunderbolt again. Sizer, who understood Ditto's strategy, started chasing after Ditto. Every time Ditto teleports away, he runs again after Ditto. Sizer, who often saw Gardevoir's fights, knows that Ditto can't use this move very often, and because of the high speed he can sometimes dodge Ditto's attacks. Although he is sometimes hit by Ditto's attacks, the damage is not very high. He also uses Roost when running to heal himself a bit. Ditto felt that he was slowly running into a wall and knew that he had to change his strategy, but after thinking about it for a long time, he just couldn't think of a good option. After not being chased for not even 1 minute, Ditto couldn't use the move Teleport and had to try to fight Sizer. Sizer, who was very fast than other Pokemon, was able to force Ditto's teleport much faster and was able to consume Ditto's teleport much faster. Although Sizer was hit several times by Thunderbolt and had lost around 35 HP%, he still had more than 40 HP% left, substitutes used. But Ditto, who still had 90 HP%, Sandstorm, was not happy about this fact. He knew that move Teleport is more important as HP points for most Psychic Pokemon. Ditto, who knew that he now had to hope for a crit, began to prepare for his next attack. Sizer, who had finally used up all of Ditto's teleports, quickly ran towards Ditto and started using Metal Claw. Ditto used Thunderbolt again and hit Sizer. Sizer ignored the pain and used Metal Claw along with the speed he had built up while running. Ditto, who is a Gardevoir, was thrown 5 meters away and suffered a lot of damage. A move on the expert rank together with the accumulated speed is no joke when it hits. Gardevoir, Ditto, who is not a Pokemon with good defense values and gets double damage from steel moves, suffers a big wound. Ditto, who was hit, began to bleed heavily and had hardly any HP, 25%, left. Sizer quickly tried to end the fight and used Metal Claw again. Sizer knew that Metal Claw is faster than any move Ditto can use, so that he has no concern about what Ditto can do. Ditto, who knew he would unconscious when hit by this move, quickly used Protect. To Alex's surprise, Sizer broke through Ditto's Protect and met Ditto, who had barely any HP left. Although the attack was severely weakened, it was enough to defeat Ditto. Alex, who saw that Ditto is unconscious, quickly ran to Ditto to heal him. Chapter 124, Bonus Chapter. Ditto, who has now transformed back after he passed out, had many small wounds on his body. Alex wasted no time and started to heal Ditto with a super potion that he pulled out of his TRH device. Ditto, who was back in his senses after a short time, showed a slightly sad expression that he had lost the fight against Sizer. That was one of the rare moments when Alex didn't see Ditto's standards emotionless face and can really read emotions off his face. Alex knew how important this fight was to Ditto after seeing that Ditto was showing emotions and not hiding them like he usually does. He tries his best to compliment Ditto and cheer him up a bit. For 3 minutes, he only praised Ditto's performance and made it sound as if Sizer only won because of luck and Ditto deserved the victory more. Sizer showed a slightly annoyed expression when he heard Alex say sentences like, "If Sizer couldn't substitute, you would have easily won this fight," and sentences like, "Also Sizer is several levels higher than you, which is very unfair," but he didn't say to Alex clear bias statements. Although Alex exaggerates with his statements, they are not completely illogical and rather there to cheer up Ditto and not to reflay in a fair way. Alex, who saw a cute little smile from Ditto when he was finished, knew that his work wasn't in vain. Although he really had to work hard for 3 minutes to quickly come up with compliments, this hard work was worth it if Ditto is feeling a little better now. Although Alex doesn't agree 100% with the statements he told Ditto, the statements that he told Ditto to have a good piece of truth in them. For example, the fact that Ditto would have won if Sizer couldn't substitute is not unrealistic. Although Alex thinks that the fight would be more like 50-50ths if it really was that Sizer couldn't do substitutes, and not a 100% win for Ditto as he said. After 5 minutes, Alex went back into the area, and waited until Gardevoir and Crobat were ready. Gardevoir and Crobat nodded and Alex gave the signal to start. Crobat wasted no time and quickly began to fly in the direction of Gardevoir while he prepared Cross Poison. Gardevoir prepares Thunder Wave while Crobat flies towards Gardevoir. After just a few seconds, she was using the move Thunder Wave. Surprisingly, Gardevoir used her move first even though Crobat's move was prepared much faster. Although Crobat has prepared Cross Poison first, he cannot use it because Gardevoir is still too far away and therefore not within the range of attack. Crobat, who was just flying in the direction of Gardevoir, found it difficult to avoid the move and was hit by Thunder Wave. Although Crobat was hit by the move and thereby he was a good deal slow while flying, he did not show any nervous expression. After less than 1 second, Crobat was in attack range, which he committed to use immediately. He's using Cross Poison and Gardevoir, who doesn't want to be hit by it, use Fast Protect. Alex thought that Gardevoir might have used Protect a bit too early, even if she is weak against poison moves. Afterward, Gardevoir used Teleport to teleport out of range of Crobat. Although the use of teleport is easy for Gardevoir, it also takes more than 1 second to use, so that you cannot avoid the attack of Crobat, who was so close if you do not prepare it beforehand. Crobat, who was expecting this, quickly began to prepare for his next move. Alex, who saw the Crobat stop chasing Gardevoir after being hit by Thunder Wave, looked pleased. He is very satisfied that the Crobat understood how he can best use his advantages, and no longer underestimated his opponents like him in the last tournament. Gardevoir immediately started preparing a move a little later. Although preparing a move this late when Crobat is in the middle of preparing it is a bit risky, she still started using Calm Mind. She was sure that her expert rang move would finish quickly enough to give her enough time to use teleport to avoid Crobat's move. Crobat was done with his move after Gardevoir was just half done with her move, and started sending a large ball full of shadows towards Gardevoir with a very quick pace. Alex, who saw the speed of Crobat's shadow ball, showed a satisfied expression. He knows that of all moves all his Pokémon can do, Crobat's Shadow Ball is the move with the best move mastery. Although the move is only expert rank like many other moves of his Pokémon, this move is still a bit better trained than the other moves of his Pokémon. Maybe only Sizer's Roost has similar move mastery. Although Gardevoir was more than 50 meters away, the Shadow Ball flew very quickly in the direction of Gardevoir, who is currently using Calm Mind. Fortunately, she can still move, so it is still possible to avoid this move. Gardevoir quickly began to take an evasive step, but failed to completely avoid the attack and was hit. She took great damage and lost more than 35% HP from that one move. Gardevoir did not show an annoyed expression that she was hit by this move. She knew that she could avoid this move next time when she is prepared for it. Crobat didn't show a happy expression when he barely hit Gardevoir, but a thoughtful expression. Chapter 125. Gardevoir knew that she could probably dodge any attack at this distance if she was ready for such an attack and began to use Calm Mind. Crobat showed no happy expression after that successful hit. He knew that only hits because he had successfully surprised Gardevoir and nothing more. He started preparing for Swift when he saw Gardevoir start reinforcing with Calm Mind. Gardevoir's Calm Mind on the expert rank finished first and she started using Calm Mind again. Her plan was pretty simple: reinforce yourself with Calm Mind while Crobat can't do anything and then defeat him with Psychic. Although this plan is simple, it is very effective and well thought out. Crobat uses Swift and begins to prepare Swift again while the attack flies relatively slowly towards Gardevoir. Swift is a very strange move in this world because it works like a guided missile and chases a target even when the target is moving, making it almost impossible to avoid that move. Another special feature of this move is that it gets faster and faster the longer it flies, which makes it impossible for even very fast Pokémon to run out of this move with only speed. The only way to avoid this move that Alex knows is either to go out of range, depends on the move mastery of the move, or to block the move with, for example, a tree or another Pokémon. Unfortunately, Alex has used a straight surface with no hindrance as a fighting surface, which makes it impossible for Gardevoir to avoid this move in this way. Gardevoir, who knew that she could not avoid this move, does not move and began to use Calm Mind. She was hit by Swift, but it looked to Alex that she not have taken much harm from that hit. Alex thinks that she probably hasn't lost 10% of her HP from this hit. Gardevoir, who saw the Crobat preparing another move, knew that the Crobat would very likely want to use Swift again. She gave a small smile as she prepared her next move. Gardevoir, who started preparing her move a little later than Crobat, managed to finish her move first. She doesn't wait and uses Disable on Crobat, who is about to finish preparing his next Swift. Gardevoir didn't waste any time and began to prepare Calm Mind again. Crobat, who suddenly felt that his preparation was interrupted and that he could no longer use this move, knew immediately what had happened. As a big brother of Gardevoir, he knows of course that Gardevoir has the move Disable on the expert rank. He didn't show an annoyed expression but a malicious smile as if he had foreseen it. Crobat's smile reminded Alex of a supervillain who successfully tricked the hero. Crobat flew in the direction of Gardevoir, which is at the edge of the combat area. The fighting area was marked by Alex before the fight so that the Pokémon can easily see where they are allowed to fight. The area is about 80 meters long and wide, which makes it as big as the area of the Kanto Rookie Tournament. Crobat, who was only about 25 meters away, suddenly stopped flying in the direction of Gardevoir and started preparing his next move. Gardevoir, who saw what Crobat was doing, did not understand why he only flew up to 25 meters. Although it makes it much easier to chase after she teleports away, 25 meters is a bit too short to be able to safely hit Gardevoir when it is prepared to evade. She was using Calm Mind and felt that she is amplified to the maximum. Gardevoir, who knows that 25 meters are not a very safe range, began to prepare teleport in order to expand a large distance from Crobat. Better safe than sorry. Although she can only increase the distance to CA 55 meters, it is better than 25 meters for her fighting style that prefers medium and large distances. Crobat, who was done with the preparation of his move, to the surprise of Gardevoir, did not use Shadow Ball or another attacking move but the move Mean Look. The move Mean Look that was used could not be avoided by Gardevoir and prevented Gardevoir from moving away from Crobat. Alex, who has already tested this move, sufficiently knew that Teleport cannot be used in the Pokemon concerned is hit by this move. Although Mean Look looks strong, in reality, it is not a particularly good move because the requirements for successful use are very difficult to meet. If Mean Look is not on the expert level, it can only be used on Pokemon that are lower in level than the user and not too far away from the user. In addition, the range depends on the level difference between the target and the user, so it is also relatively useless against Pokemon with only one level difference. This move is completely useless against Pokemon who have the same level as Crobat or are too far away from Crobat. Crobat gave a happy smile that looks very creepy to Alex as he started flying relatively quickly towards Gardevoir. Though Thunder Wave hit Crobat, it is still much faster than Gardevoir. While flying in the direction of Gardevoir, he prepares the move Cross Poison. Gardevoir, who saw that she was fooled by Crobat, showed a surprised expression. She didn't think she could be outsmarted by Crobat because she is the Pokemon with the highest IQ in Alex's Pokemon group. Although she doesn't think that she is better than the other Pokemon just because she has a higher IQ, she always thought that at least she couldn't be outsmarted by other Pokemon. She suddenly felt very naive about these thoughts. Alex saw how Gardevoir showed a surprised and confused expression and understood why Gardevoir was confused. He gave a sad smile when he thought, "Child, it's time to wake up." Although IQ is a good quality in Pokemon fighting, it is not as important as many trainers believe. Alex thinks that experience, the anticipation of the opponent, and creativity, etc., are much more important traits for a Pokemon than just IQ is. Gardevoir, who saw Crobat only 5 meters away from her, suddenly woke up from her thoughts and began to prepare for her next move. She knew that she should concentrate on the fight now and not stand around thinking about it. Crobat used Cross Poison and Gardevoir, who was not quite focused, was hit in the head. A critical hit. Gardevoir's head was bleeding profusely and had a nasty wound on it when she fell unconscious to the floor. Alex quickly ran towards Gardevoir with a worried expression and a hyper potion in his hand. He furiously yelled at Crobat when he treated Gardevoir even though he knew Crobat had done nothing wrong. For those who are interested in why Cross Poison did so much more damage than Shadow Ball, here is the explanation. Shadow Ball and Cross Poison are expert rank moves and therefore do a good deal more damage. Although it doesn't matter for the comparison, I want to mention it. Gardevoir gets 2x damage from Ghost-type moves and Poison-type moves, which are also relatively unimportant in this case. The damage difference comes from 2 reasons. 1. Stab increased Cross Poison damage by 50%. 2. Gardevoir has a bad defense value of 65 and a good SP def value of 115, which means that she gets more damage from physical-type moves like Cross Poison. These are the 2 reasons why Gardevoir got a lot more damage from Cross Poison. Together with the crit, she couldn't withstand this move. Chapter 126. Gardevoir wakes up shortly after Alex healed her injury. She showed a small smile, but for Alex, it looked as if she wanted to hide her sadness and disappointment from Alex and the other Pokemon. Alex looked serious when he said, "We're taking a 10-minute break." "Gardevoir, come here please, I have to talk to you." Gardevoir and Alex went together to a sunny place with beautiful surroundings. Area 1 hashtag is really very peaceful and safe compared to other areas on this island. Alex sat on the grass and looked with a mild expression at the beautiful surroundings. Gardevoir said nothing and sat down next to Alex with a slightly confused expression. Though she can guess what Alex wants to talk to her about, she didn't think the conversation would start that way. After a few seconds of silence, Alex said quietly, "Kid, what's wrong?" Gardevoir, hearing this and feeling the feelings of concern in Alex's words, suppressed her sad thoughts and put on a happy expression as she said, "Father, I'm fine. You don't have to worry about me." Alex, who heard these words, showed a disappointed expression. Although Alex didn't say anything, Gardevoir felt Alex's disappointment. The thought that her father is disappointed with her almost breaks her heart. She wished at this moment that she couldn't feel her father's feelings so that she wouldn't feel those painful feelings. Gardevoir couldn't hold back her emotions anymore when she said with almost tears, "Father, please don't give up on me." Alex showed an angry expression when he said out loud, "You stupid child, who told you that I was going to give you up? That you can even imagine these things makes me very angry." Gardevoir started to cry as she said, "But father, I can feel that you are disappointed with how bad I have fought. Please don't lie to me. I can feel these feelings." Alex gave a confused expression when he said, "Disappointed with how you fought?" Then he gave a small smile as he said, "Gardevoir, I don't care how you fought in the last fight. As long as you recognize your mistakes and you try to learn from them what you did wrong, I will remember this fight in a positive light. Alex showed a serious expression when he said, Gardevoir, I'm not disappointed with you, I'm disappointed with myself. The fact that you've tried to hide your emotions from me shows that I'm not a good father. Gardevoir had a confused, happy, and sour expression when Alex said that. She showed a slightly angry expression when she said, Father, you are a very good father. Please don't insult yourself. Alex, who felt the angry expression of Gardevoir for the first time, started to laugh as he stroked Gardevoir's head. Gardevoir pouted at her father for showing a happy expression on her anger. Alex stopped to laugh after a few seconds and said seriously, Gardevoir, I can understand that you want to be an adult now, but you have to know that you will always be my child to me. You can talk to me about anything. Please don't start hiding your emotions. Then he said in a joke-like tone, I don't want to guess the emotions as I do with Ditto. Gardevoir gave a small smile as she said, Father, that's not very friendly. Ditto is much more open now than at the beginning. Yeah, I know. That was just a little joke. Gardevoir got up from the grass and said with a smile, Thank you, Father. Alex also got up and said, Gardevoir, we're a family. Try to worry less about things like that. Okay, Father. After that, she showed a nervous expression. Alex, who saw this, said, Gardevoir, what's going on? Gardevoir suppressed her nervous expression and said seriously, Father, can you tell me where Mother is? Alex, who remembers the last time he answered this question, had a treacherous expression when he said, I'll explain it to you when we leave this island. I have to show you a place to explain it better. Gardevoir nodded only and did not ask why her father suddenly became so sad. She didn't want to think about it right now. When Alex and Gardevoir came back to the group, everyone in the group gave Gardevoir a concerned expression. Even proud Pokemon like Crobat and Scizor showed slight concern. Gardevoir, feeling the concern of her family, felt an indescribable feeling of happiness. She felt that she had a wonderful family. Chapter 127. Scizor and Crobat, who are waiting on the battlefield for Alex's signal, look at each other deeply. Although neither would admit it, they see each other as rivals and as a benchmark to compare their progress. Alex took the chance to have a little fun. Welcome back, dear audience. Today the final takes place where we can find out who will win this tournament. Scizor and Crobat had very similar thoughts after hearing this. What are you talking about, you stupid F***CK? The last fight was 15 minutes ago. Alex ignored Scizor and Crobat's expressions as he continued. On my right, I have the fighter Crobat who successfully prevailed against the participant Gardevoir with his very good luck. Gardevoir and the other Pokemon started laughing when they heard these words from Alex. Even Ditto, who often showed no emotion, smiled when he heard it. Crobat just had one thought, don't hit your trainer, don't hit your trainer, don't hit your trainer. Suppressed those thoughts. On my left, we have the defending champion Scizor who has successfully prevailed against Ditto with his bot move. Although Scizor didn't show anything on his face, he is slightly annoyed that Alex uses the word bot move to describe his victory. Alex not only successfully cheered up Ditto and Gardevoir, but also annoyed his two favorite troublemakers. He felt very happy with the result. He pulled away and signaled Scizor and Crobat to begin the fight. Crobat and Scizor immediately started preparing their moves without a word. Both Pokemon have already had good fighting experience and can develop a strategy that can bring them victory even without Alex. Although they don't have as good tactics as Alex, they are better than most trainers when they just have to come up with tactics for themselves. Alex, who spends a lot of time explaining his Pokemon exactly how his tactics work and what advantages they bring, is a strange trainer for most trainers who do not explain their Pokemon tactics. He thinks that a Pokemon needs to understand his tactics and why he uses them to get the most out of his tactics. It reminds him of the saying, give a man a fish and you will feed him for a day. Teach a man to fish and you will feed him for his life. Crobat, who finished first, was using Taunt and interrupted Scizor, who was about to use Focus Energy. Although Taunt cannot prevent the move Roost because Roost is on the expert rank and the level difference is not big enough, it can prevent any other non-attack moves of Scizor. Scizor, who realized that he was hit by this move, showed an annoyed expression as he ran towards Crobat while preparing a move. Crobat is also preparing a move at the same time. For the fairness of this tournament, Alex uses the same rules from the Kanto Rookie Tournament so that the Crobat cannot fly very high. Scizor successfully prepared his move Metal Claw, but had to get within range of Crobat to use the move. Crobat did not have this problem but took a good bit longer so that he only uses his move when Scizor is only 10 meters away and just jumping into the air to hit him. A yellow ball was thrown in the direction of Scizor when Crobat used his move Confuse Ray. Scizor, who is in the air, was hit by the move but showed a calm expression as he used his own move. He closed his eyes and attacked the place where Crobat was before he was hit by Confuse Ray. This trick seemed to work when Crobat was knocked to the ground when he was hit by Sizer's Metal Claw. To Alex, who saw Crobat being thrown from 10 meters to the ground, it looked like Crobat had taken more damage from the move than he normally would. Although he saw that, he didn't show any surprising expression. Crobat, who took a lot of damage, started flying again and quickly began to fly away from Sizer. At the same time, he started preparing his next move. Sizer, seeing the Crobat about to fly away, began to give in to chase Crobat while preparing his next move. Unfortunately, Crobat is way too fast for Sizer, who can't improve his speed, so he was unsuccessful in his chase. Crobat uses Shadow Ball while Sizer chases after him. Sizer tried to evade but failed and suffered some damage. Although it took much less damage than Crobat from his hit, it is still relatively good damage. Alex saw how Crobat outsmarted his opponent in this fight, too, knew immediately who of all 4 Pokemon was the best at creating good tactics. Compared to the other 3 Pokemon, Crobat was by far the best, which surprised Alex a bit. Alex didn't think Crobat had such a good tactical talent, or at least not one that he was that much better than his other Pokemon. Sizer, who saw that he couldn't fight like this, thought about what to do next. He had an idea and started running away from Crobat. Crobat only showed a disdain smile as he chased Sizer, and kept the distance from the two permanently at 25 meters. He knew that he couldn't keep too great a distance, otherwise, it would be too easy for Sizer to dodge his attacks. Sizer, realizing that he had no choice but to fight at this distance, started using his only ranged combat move, Razor Wind. Alex, who saw that Sizer was forced to fight in ranged combat, knew that the fight was over. After almost 2 minutes, the fight was over with Crobat looking arrogantly at the unconscious Sizer. Alex, who saw this, does not think that Sizer was weaker, but that the Crobat was better than Sizer in fights without a trainer. Although it is probably arrogant, he thinks that if he controlled Sizer in this fight, Sizer would win this fight. Not that that's important. He stopped thinking about these unnecessary things and started healing Sizer. The main reason Sizer lost is because Crobat had all the answers to all of Sizer's strengths and Sizer had no way of doing much harm to Crobat from a mid-range distance. Razor Wind is okay but really not worth talking about compared to Crobat's expert moves. Also, Sizer's important move agility was prevented by Crobat. The only thing that Sizer was able to use was the Sandstorm hiding strategy that he used at the tournament. But this tactic is completely useless against Crobat, who is a flying-type Pokemon and can easily sweep dust off the battlefield. Sizer's two best strategies are completely countered by Crobat. Thank you for all Power Stones. Especially thanks to the top 17 Power Stones. 1. Unknown. 2. Ringiabarai. 3. Anonymous X. Petwar Draik Pimp 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 Pimp. 5. Darks Japa. 6. Kairos. 7. Oboro 21. 8. Thorn Devil. 9. The _last_ garden. 10. For the memes. 11. Kiirii. 12. Azoth Treaty. 13. N0B0DY. 14. SV6. 15. Maxgul Chapter 128, Bonus Chapter. Area Number 14. Alex and his Pokemon continued to explore the area together, looking for an Eevee. Although Alex wanted an Eevee, he would add it to his team only if it meets his minimum requirements. Unfortunately, he rarely met an Eevee in this area, and each of those Eevee was too talentless for Alex. Alex hadn't even seen a shallow silver Eevee. While walking, Alex and his Pokemon were often attacked by other Pokemon that Alex and company easily defeated. He tried to train Torchic or Shereldon whenever he came across a weak Pokemon. He didn't want to miss these little opportunities. Crobat notified Alex that a Pokemon was hanging on a tree 50 meters from here. Alex, who was walking in this direction, saw without any surprise that it was a young Gyarados waiting for prey on this tree. Pokemon. Gyarados. LV. 22. Type. Bug/poison. Abilities. Swarm. Gender. Male. Potential. Shallow Bronze. Moves. Constrict, Poison Sting, String Shot, Absorb, Infestation, Scary Face, Nightshade, Shadow Sneak. Alex thought, although he is a bit too strong, I can probably try Torchic for this fight. Torchic, who has not yet experienced a difficult fight, can use the valuable experience well. When the group was only 20 meters away, Alex said, Torchic, you will be the one fighting this time. Alex's Pokemon looked at him with surprise that he let Torchic fight such a tough opponent. This group knows that Torchic would very likely not be able to win against this opponent. Although Torchic has very good base values for a Pokemon with 2 evolution, it cannot be compared to an Gyarados who is already fully evolved. Together with the relatively large level advantage, Torchic's chances are not particularly good. The only 2 advantages of Torchic are type advantage and overheat being on the expert rank. Together with her okayish SPATK of 70 and the move Sunny Day, Torchic should be able to inflict a ridiculous amount of damage on Gyarados in a short time. Although it sounds like Torchic should easily win with these advantages, Alex thought differently. Torchic's best move, Overheat, can be used effectively only once or twice at max. So the Torchic has to damage enough with these hits to defeat Gyarados, or at least deal as much damage that Torchic can and then defeat him with Peck. That means if Torchic doesn't hit Gyarados twice with her move Overheat, she will automatically lose. Together with the fact that she can't take much damage herself, the Torchic's win rate shouldn't be very high. At least without the help of Alex. Alex, who knew this, would of course not let Torchic fight Gyarados alone. After he decided that Torchic should fight, he went to Gardevoir. He told her via telepathy, Gardevoir, prepare the move Psychic to use in an emergency if it becomes dangerous. Gardevoir looked at Alex with a gentle smile after hearing his voice in her mind. Pokemon are usually so robust that they would hardly take any permanent damage unless they are unconscious. So the Gardevoir thought that Alex was very, very careful. Even without this, she and Alex's other Pokemon can easily save Torchic if something happens. Alex went to Torchic and explained what to watch out for when she fights and that she should listen to his guidelines. Torchic showed a lively expression and no fear for fighting against a much stronger and more experienced Pokemon. Okay, Torchic. Start with Sunny Day. Torchic started to use Sunny Day without thinking, and the surroundings suddenly became warmer. At that moment, Alex thought that Torchic would be a good heater. Gyarados, who had been watching Alex's group on the tree the whole time, saw Torchic suddenly make a move that made the air warmer. Although it didn't want to fight this strong group, it realized that it no more had a choice. Without hesitation, it started preparing a move while sitting in the tree. Torchic, now use Overheat. Alex saw that Gyarados was preparing a move and knew that the best chance to use Overheat was now. For Gyarados, who had no move on the expert rank, it was impossible to make any movement while preparing that move. So Torchic could easily get a free hit. Overheat, which is on the expert rank, was done before Gyarados could finish preparing its move. A big ball of fire flew straight towards Gyarados with quick departure. Gyarados was hit and was thrown off the tree. At the same time, the whole tree started to burn on which Gyarados was sitting. To Alex's surprise, the tree stopped burning after a few seconds. Alex, who didn't quite understand why this happened, didn't think about it but concentrated on the fight. Gyarados lost a ridiculous amount of HP from that one hit. It looked like he lost more than 70% HP. Although it is in pain, it still used the move that it had prepared. 2 large pink-tipped needles were thrown towards Torchic when Gyarados was using Poison Sting. Torchic tried to evade but was still hit, and the spot the needles hit show pink color. Alex, who knows that Torchic was badly poisoned, showed no nervous expression. He knew that the fight was as good as won if he didn't make a mistake. As Gyarados was preparing his next move, Alex said with a smile, Torchic, repeat the move. Torchic, who was a bit faster now, used the move Overheat and successfully defeated a stronger opponent. Easier than expected. Alex saw how quickly Torchic can inflict damage on a Pokemon and was really impressed. As he thought about these things, Torchic suddenly started to glow. Chapter 129. Alex didn't waste any time and immediately took out the 3 scales of the Charizard filled with fire energy which he had received after winning the Kanto Rookie Tournament along with Torchic's egg. Torchic, absorb as much energy as you can. Torchic nodded and began to absorb as much fire energy as possible from these scales. She stopped after successfully absorbing the energy of 1 scale and tried to focus on the evolution process. Alex wasn't surprised when he saw that Torchic could only absorb 1 scale. Pokemon with 2 evolution can often not absorb a lesser amount of energy during the first evolution. As was the case with Kirlia, for example. Torchic began to shine even more intensely and slowly began to change her body's shape. Alex and his Pokemon were eagerly watching Torchic, who was slowly transforming. After a few seconds, Torchic stopped glowing and showed her new form. This isn't even my final form. Pokemon. Combusken. LV. 16. Type. Fire/Fighting. Abilities. Speed Boost. Hidden Ability. Gender. Female. Potential. Gold. Move. Growl, Scratch, Ember, Sand Attack, Peck, Double Kick. Innate Talent, Attract. Innate Talent, Sunny Day. Innate Talent, Overheat, E. Combusken, which is now 0.8 meters tall, is of the same size as a small child. Together with her cute look, she looked like a young kid to Alex. Alex saw the Torchic evolved correctly at the intended level and showed a slightly confused look. That's weird. I thought the reason Sheldon and Curlia took so long was that they're too young, but after seeing this, I'm not so sure anymore. I should ask Professor Walder about this topic, though he may also not know about it. Alex, who had spent the first few months in this world reading Pokemon books, knows more than enough basic knowledge a trainer needs to have. In these books, it was often said that it is not known under which conditions a Pokemon evolution occurs, when no item is used, like evolution stones. Many Pokemon species have different requirements to evolve early, so it is not easy to test. In addition, there seems to be no general rule that is always 100% true. There are few tips, such as, young Pokemon are more likely to evolve later if they reach that specific level too early. But these tips do not always apply. Sizer looked wistfully at Combusken and thought, she's growing up so fast. Gardevoir, who can feel the emotions of others, could feel this strong emotion of Sizer. She remembered that Sizer also showed such emotion when she evolved. Although she also felt this emotion from Alex and other Pokemon, the emotion of Sizer was unusually intense. She gave a small kind smile as she looked in the direction of Sizer. Sizer noticed the Gardevoir looking at him strangely, but said nothing. Combusken ran to Alex and the group of Pokemon and started talking loudly about her evolution. She started talking to everyone about it for a bit. Although everyone is a member of the family, and Combusken does get along very well with everyone, she has the best of relationships with Alex, Gardevoir, Sheldon, and Sizer. Alex and his Pokemon started walking through area number 14 again when Combusken had calmed down a bit. After a few hours of pointless search for a talented Eevee, Alex suddenly heard from Crobat via telepathy. There is a group of 4 Pokemon 100 meters further down the road. Alex, who often heard this word from Crobat, showed no surprised expression when he went to this group. After Alex had walked around 80 meters, he saw 3 Pokemon surrounding a single Pokemon. The group of 3 Pokemon consisted of 3 Fiero. 2 Fiero were bronze and level 22 and 21. And the leader of this group wasn't much better either. Pokemon. Fiero. LV. 23. Type. Normal/flying. Ability. Keen Eye. Gender. Male. Potential. Bronze. Move. Growl, Peck, Leer, Pursuit, Fury Attack, Aerial Ace, Mirror Move. To Alex's surprise, the Pokemon, who was surrounded by this group of Fiero, was an Eevee. As soon as Alex saw the info of Eevee, he knew he had found the Eevee he was looking for. Pokémon. Eevee. LV. 22. Type. Normal. Ability. Adaptability. Gender. Female. Potential. Shallow Gold. Move. Growl, Tackle, Tail Whip, Quick Attack, Double Kick, Sand Attack, Bite, Swift. Innate Talent, Rest. Innate Talent, Sleep Talk. Innate Talent, Work Up. When Alex briefly looked at the information, Eevee was fighting like a wild beast against the 3 Fiero. Although she was severely injured, in every attack, she tried to deal as much damage as possible to this group of Fiero. Alex, who saw this aggressive and brave way of fighting, knew that this Pokemon was perfect for his team. Ditto, Crobat, Gardevoir, end the fight quickly. The 3 Pokemon nodded and started to prepare 3 moves. After less than 2 seconds, Gardevoir used Dazzling Gleam, Crobat used Sludge Bomb, and Ditto, who had transformed into Gardevoir, used Psychic. The 3 Fiero's attention was suddenly drawn to the attacks, and they tried to evade them. Unfortunately, they were too slow and were hit. Each Fiero was severely injured and instantly passed out when hit by the move. Alex saw how easily this fight was won, and understood why the number of enemies did not matter with a certain level difference. Eevee, who was helped by Alex's group, didn't show a thankful expression but an aggressive one instead. This expression reminded Alex of Crobat, who was very mad at someone and not of a cute Pokemon. Alex mumbled to himself with a smile on his face. Interesting. Chapter 130. Eevee looked aggressively in the direction of Alex's group when they started to speak. Gardevoir transmitted the words of Eevee for Alex via telepathy. Human, what do you want? Alex wasn't annoyed at all when he heard these rude words. He just said with a smile, what do I want? It's simple. I want to ask you a question. It's more like an offer. Are you interested in joining my group and leaving this little island? Eevee, who heard that she had a chance to leave this island, grew interested in the offer. She had heard from the Pokemon around her that this island is very small and the world is so much bigger than one can imagine. Although she grew up on this island, she wanted to leave this island one day to see more of the world. Although she was interested, she continued to show an aggressive face when she said, "And what would you do if I disagree?" Alex, who heard this question, didn't know how to answer for a moment. After a few seconds, he said with an honest expression, "Then I'll defeat you and slowly try to convince you of the advantages you will get." Eevee showed a surprised expression when she heard Alex's answer. Although humans rarely come to this island, many Pokemon have already met humans and know that humans like to lie. She was surprised that Alex didn't lie that he will go away but spoke honestly. Although she now had a better opinion of Alex after he told the truth, she didn't let it change her face and said out loud, "You bastard think you can just beat me? Okay, bring it up. Let's see who's scared of who." Alex, who heard this, looked at his 6 Pokemon from which at least 4 are clearly much stronger than Eevee, and then gave a questioning look back to the Eevee. Eevee was not oblivious of the strength of Alex's Pokemon and knew that she had no chance, but she didn't want to lose without a fight. Though she was a bit annoyed when she saw Alex's questioning gaze. Alex made a helpless expression on his face as he said, "Can't we talk this out? I think it would be better if we talk about it and come to a decision peacefully." "Hey bastard! Can it be you looking down at me? How dare you? You piece of trash." Alex instantly stopped smiling and gave a cold look to Eevee. "Oh, so that's how you want to play? You won't calm down until we fight this out. Fine. Crobat, I'll give you 1 minute." Crobat having more than 15 levels higher usually doesn't need more than 1 or 2 moves, so 1 minute is a lot of time. Eevee, who knew that she would have to fight the toughest fight of her life, showed no fear but excitement instead. Although Eevee had a slight fear of death, she knew that she will only be caught if she loses and won't lose her life, so that she could fight without any worry. Alex gave a satisfied smile when he saw how Eevee showed no fear and accepted this unfair fight without running away. Although Alex thinks he would never do that, it's a trait that Alex respects. Crobat started preparing a move without waiting for Eevee. At the same time, it was flying in the direction of Eevee at a fast speed. Eevee, who saw how fast Crobat was, immediately knew that there was no way she could overrun these Pokemon. So she also started to prepare a move. Eevee was still preparing her move, but Crobat wasn't gonna wait for her. He had prepared his move Cross Poison, and he quickly flew in front of her to use it. Eevee, who had already suffered damage from fighting the 3 Fiero, was not in good shape. So that if she was hit by Crobat, she should have become outright unconscious. But to Alex's surprise, Eevee still had her eyes open even though she had already taken a lot more damage than her body can endure. When he saw Eevee struggling not to pass out, he said, "Eevee, even though you fought well, you don't stand a chance. It's better if you give up. I don't want to cause you more pain." Eevee gave a mocking look as she used the move Rest to regain health. Alex's eye twitched, and he suppressed the feeling of mocking Eevee. Although he calmed down, he still thought, "Humph, do you think this can help you win the battle? That's cute." Crobat also shook his head having similar thoughts as Alex and started using Cross Poison again. Eevee also started preparing for a move while being asleep. Sleep Talk is indeed a very practical move. Crobat finished his preparing and used Cross Poison, which almost defeated Eevee again. After that, he saw that it wasn't enough, so he started to prepare a weaker move to avoid causing too much damage to Eevee's body. He knows that Eevee is likely to be a family member soon, so he didn't want to cause unnecessary harm. Eevee was able to finish preparing the move a little earlier than Crobat and used Swift. But that did only a little bit of damage to Crobat, who ignored her attack. Crobat was hardly hurt from this move, and showed no expression as he continued to prepare for his next move. Using Wing Attack, he did more than enough damage to Eevee to defeat her. Eevee, who completely overloaded her body, became unconscious and started bleeding a lot from the wounds. Alex, who saw that Eevee had her body covered with an unnecessary amount of injuries, showed a smile as he started to heal Eevee and trap her in a Pokeball. He was very pleased with Eevee's fighting style, even though he thinks she's a bit over the top. Chapter 131. Alex looked for a quiet place after he healed and caught Eevee. After Alex finding a place, he started preparing lunch for his Pokemon. Afterwards giving each of his Pokemon food to eat, Alex began to think about the best way to convince Eevee to join his family. Even though he defeated and captured Eevee, it doesn't necessarily mean that she would now listen to Alex's orders. After a few seconds, Alex took the Pokeball of Eevee and opened it with one click. Eevee, who came out of the Pokeball, looked confusingly at Alex. Although her eyes gave off a dangerous light when she calmly looked at Alex. If a Pokemon is in a Pokeball, It is not that it is completely excluded from the outside world and cannot see what is happening outside. In fact, the reality is quite the opposite. A Pokemon inside a Pokeball can look outside like looking through a mirror and therefore see the outside world. This is also a reason why Pokemon trainers wear their Pokeballs on the Pokebelt and not put them in their backs. Eevee, who knew that Alex was not well protected now, did not understand why he had pulled her out of Pokeball. Wasn't he afraid that she would suddenly attack him? Alex, who saw this questioning look from Eevee, could imagine what she was so confused about. Although his Pokemon were not directly in front of him, they were close enough to protect Alex if Eevee suddenly tried to attack him. Particularly Gardevoir and Crobat can save Alex very swiftly in such emergencies. Eevee showed an emotionless face as she said, "I admit that you're brave. But not that it matters. Why did you get me out of the Pokeball?" Alex, who was a bit confused with the emotionless face of Eevee, showed a thoughtful expression. He expected retaliation from Eevee, but not that she would become so lifeless. "Eevee, I know that you imagined it differently, but why don't you give it a try? I'm sure you will like it here in my family." Eevee, who heard this, quickly changed her expression from emotionless to completely angry. "Family? You bastard are telling me about family. Do you think I'm so stupid to believe in this kind of lie?" Alex, who heard this aggressive response, felt that he had touched a sore spot. He had a sincere expression as he said, "Why do you think I'm lying? All the 6 Pokemon you can see are my family members." Eevee, who felt that Alex was probably telling the truth, made a hysterical expression and said out loud, No, that can't be true. How can it be that you can build a family with a group of different Pokemon? It's impossible." Gardevoir, feeling the extremes of anger, sadness, and unwilling emotions of Eevee, showed a gentle expression as she slowly walked towards Eevee. Eevee, who had never seen her parents and had to survive as a child in this merciless wilderness, not only built up a strong will but also a longing to build a family. 2 weeks ago, she built up enough strength where she started chasing her dream of a family. She found a group of 3 young Eevee who were attacked by a strong Pokemon. Eevee, who saw this as a chance to develop a family, stood in front of the group of Eevee to protect them and began to fight against the strong Pokemon. In this fight, she suffered a lot of damage and needed a little help from the 3 Eevee, who she saved to win this fight. But when she asked for help from the 3 Eevee, she met with disappointment, with 3 Eevee showing a fearful expression and running away to leave her alone in this deadly fight. Eevee, who was given up at this moment by their own species, was furious and defeated the strong Pokemon with her aggressive fighting style which she developed through this situation. Although Eevee survived, she didn't feel happy about it. She felt alone and a wave of irresistible anger at the world. Now that she heard from Alex how easily Alex had achieved her dream, her heart started to break. The emotions she tried to forget all came back. Eevee, with an enraged expression and tears running out of her eyes, shouted loudly, "This is not fair!" Gardevoir, who felt the emotion of Eevee, also started to cry. She quickly walked over to Eevee and began to hug her like a big sister would hug her little sister. Eevee started to struggle a little to break free from the embrace, but stopped when she felt the warmth of Gardevoir. Although she still had an aggressive expression, she started to calm down a bit. She felt for the first time that another Pokemon was worried about her. This feeling was indescribable for her. Once she calmed down a bit, she couldn't help but think, is this how it feels like that to have a family who cares about you? It feels really good, Eevee thought as she suppressed her tears. Alex saw how Eevee slowly lost her aggressive expression and showed a faint smile, couldn't help but smile himself too. Alex's other Pokemon, who saw Eevee's little smile, were also glad looking at the situation. Even Crobat and Scizor were nodding their head with a small smile on their face looking at Eevee. But when they coincidentally looked at each other, they simply grunted and moved their eyes away and focused on Eevee once again. It looked like Eevee was warmly welcomed by Alex's Pokemon. Alex went to Eevee and said with a small smile, "Eevee, welcome to our family. We are glad to have you." Eevee, who is still in the embrace of Gardevoir, could only nod and let out a faint murmur. "Yes." Chapter 132, Bonus Chapter. 28 days later. Alex sat quietly on a tree stump while Eevee was resting on his lap, looking bored at the surroundings. Eevee, who was in Alex's group for almost 1 month now, has a much gentler personality as long as you don't provoke her. In terms of the Pokemon that are nicest to the other Pokemon, she is ranked 3rd after Gardevoir and Sheldon. And she is exceptionally gentle with Alex and Gardevoir. But you shouldn't be fooled by Eevee's gentle personality. Because when it comes to fighting, she becomes a totally different Pokemon. Although she is very gentle with Alex's Pokemon, she has become much more aggressive towards other Pokemon, especially the Pokemon that attacks Alex and his group. She fights them with a wild expression. In the beginning, she attacked these Pokemon without Alex's permission and almost killed them if Alex hadn't stopped her. When Alex talked to her, Eevee told him that she doesn't want to lose her family and is ready to protect her with her life. Alex had a long talk with her that day so that she could dissipate her fear of losing her family a bit. He also explained that if she doesn't listen to him, she can put her family in danger of falling into traps. Eevee is no longer completely uncontrollable after Alex's explanation. When she sees another Pokemon, she always waits for Alex to instruct her how to handle such a situation. Although she still fights very aggressively against the stranger Pokemon when Alex lets her. In these 28 days, Alex started to catch every silver Pokemon he could find on this island. He stayed in Area 10 hashtag to find more valuable stones, too. And this was the result of the last month. List of Pokemon Alex caught on this island. 1 Golem, Deep Silver LV40, Earthquake E. 1 Phanpy, Shallow Silver. 2 Phanpy, Silver. 2 Donphan, Shallow Silver. 1 Donphan, Silver. 1 Donphan, Deep Silver. 3 Onyx, Shallow Silver. 1 Onyx, Deep Silver. 2 Geodude, Shallow Silver. 4 Graveler, Shallow Silver. 1 Graveler, Silver. 1 Golem, Silver. Shallow Silver Pokemon, 12. Silver Pokemon, 5. Deep Silver Pokemon, 3. List of valuable items Alex found on this island. 2 Top Moon Stone. 5 High Moon Stones. 15 Mid Moon Stones. 42 Low Moon Stone. 1 High Water Stones. 2 Low Water Stone. 1 King's Rock. 1 Deep Sea Scale, maybe. 153 Pearls. Alex, who found many valuable Pokemon and stones, was satisfied with his exploration. Together with the increase in the strength of his Pokemon, the trip to the island was a complete success. Pokemon. Crobat. LV. 40. Type. Poison/Flying. Abilities. Inner Focus. Gender. Male. Potential. Gold. Moves. Absorb, Supersonic, Astonish, Bite, Wing Attack, Confuse Ray, Swift, Haze, Leech Life, Mean Look. Innate Talent, Shadow Ball E. Innate Talent, Fly E. Innate Talent, Cross Poison E. TM, Protect, TM, Toxic, TM, Sludge Bomb, TM, Facade, TM, Taunt. Pokemon. Sizer. LV. 40. Type. Bug/Steel. Abilities. Technician. Gender. Male. Potential. Gold. Moves. Leer, Quick Attack, Focus Energy, Double Team, Feint, Fury Cutter, Wing Attack, Agility, Slash, Razor Wind, Iron Defense. Innate Talent, Roost E. Innate Talent, Metal Claw E. Innate Talent, Brick Break E. TM, Protect, TM, Toxic, TM, Thief, TM, Facade, TM, Giga Impact, TM, U-Turn, TM, Sandstorm, TM, Substitutes.
Pokémon, Gardevoir.
LV. 39. Type. Psychic/Fairy. Abilities. Telepathy. Gender. Female. Potential. Deep Gold. Moves. Growl, Confusion, Double Team, Teleport, Disarming Voice, Lucky Chant, Magical Leaf, Heal Pulse, Draining Kiss, Psychic, Imprison. Innate Talent, Disable E. Innate Talent, Calm Mind E. Innate Talent, Dazzling Gleam E. TM, Protect, TM, Shadow Ball, TM, Will-O-Wisp, TM, Thunderbolt, TM, Thunderwave, TM, Helping Hand. Pokemon. Ditto. LV. 37. Type. Normal. Abilities. Imposter. Hidden Ability. Gender. Genderless. Potential. Silver. Move. Innate Talent. Transform E. Pokemon. Sherelden. LV. 34. Type. Rock/Steel. Abilities. Sturdy. Gender. Male. Potential. Gold. Moves. Protect, Tackle, Taunt, Metal Sound, Takedown, Iron Defense, Swagger, Ancient Power. Innate Talent. Rock Polish E. Innate Talent. Sleep Talk. Innate Talent. Flamethrower E. Pokemon. Combusken. LV. 25. Type. Fire/Fighting. Abilities. Speed Boost. Hidden Ability. Gender. Female. Potential. Gold. Moves. Growl, Scratch, Ember, Sand Attack, Peck, Double Kick, Flame Charge, Quick Attack. Innate Talent, Attract. Innate Talent, Sunny Day, E. Innate Talent, Overheat, E. Pokémon. Eevee. LV. 31. Type. Normal. Ability. Adaptability. Gender. Female. Potential. Shallow Gold. Moves. Growl, Tackle, Tail Whip, Quick Attack, Double Kick, Sand Attack, Bite, Swift, Takedown, Double Edge, Helping Hand. Innate Talent, Rest. Innate Talent, Sleep Talk. Innate Talent, Work Up, E. Alex, who finally got a Pokemon on the Elite, has finally become an Elite trainer. He even has 2 Pokemon on the Elite rank, which is impressive for his age. Crobat and Scizor, who are now on the Elite rank, are many times stronger than before. Alex saw what an improvement being Elite Pokemon brings and couldn't help but be joyous about the new strength that his Pokemon now occupied. Although Crobat and Scizor are leveling much more slowly now, it's not unusual in this world. As higher the level of a Pokemon is, the more difficult it is to level up. What Alex especially noticed in these 28 days is the leveling speed of his Pokemon. Ditto levels up a lot slower than Gardevoir. Even though they both were at level 35 at one point, Ditto has only leveled up 2 times while Gardevoir has leveled up 4 times. It seems that Ditto's potential is starting to slow down the speed of its leveling up, which was quite annoying for Alex. He hoped that he would find some good items for Ditto in the auction so that he can keep up with the rest of the Pokemon. Although it is probably ineffective, Alex does not want to give up on Ditto just because he wants to save a bit of money. And every day, he started to look at his TRH device to see if he had a new message from someone. Alex usually writes with 3 people: Stephen Stones, Professor Walder, and, of course, Maria. Professor Walder told Alex many things that he had never heard of, which made him grow more interested in chatting with Professor Walder, a lot more than he had expected. The knowledge he has collected from Professor Walder in these almost 2 months can be useful later on. For example, he learned more about the legendary Pokemon. There are legendary Pokemon that reproduce with another Pokemon and thereby give birth to a half-blood legendary Pokemon. With legendary Pokemon, the DNA appears to be so strong that the Pokemon always takes over the species from the legendary Pokemon, even if the legendary Pokemon is a male. This is only the case with legendary Pokemon, which is really unique in this world. They are in a true sense alpha Pokemon. It also seems to be the case that some Pokemon species don't have a half-blood, or at least never have been found out yet. This shows that these species of legendary Pokemon have no interest in reproduction. Alex also talked a lot with Steven and exchanged a lot of interesting stories. Alex was even beginning to see Steven as almost a friend, and not just a person he could use. Although he still doesn't really trust Steven, Steven is probably the closest thing Alex will have as a friend. At least for now. Maria was the person with whom Alex wrote the most and learned a lot. Like, for example, Pidgeot got the shallow gold after using the Lugia scale that Lisa gave her so that she could join the Lisa group. Alex, who saw the address of Professor Walder where the auction is located, knew that he had to leave the island today to make it there on time. The place where the Alliance auction will start was in Celadon City, where Alex was last 2 months ago. Crobat, let's go, said Alex as he slowly started to fly away from the island. Chapter 133. Celadon City. Alex slowly got down from Crobat and looked at the people who were watching him with curious eyes. Crobat ignored the people and just looked at Alex with a questioning look. Alex, who is now an Alliance trainer and, more importantly, the trainer who won the Kanto Rookie Tournament, was a small celebrity in Kanto. Especially in Celadon City, where the last Kanto Rookie Tournament was held, he is very well known. Although the Kanto Rookie Tournament only shows rookie trainers, it is still a very popular tournament. The top contestants of this tournament are considered potential future gym leaders or even Elite Four members. When a rookie wins the tournament, it often shows that he has the talent to become as strong as gym leaders in the future. Erica and Brock are good examples to show that. Fortunately, there were no fans of Alex here, and Alex didn't have to answer any dumb questions or give autographs. He was glad that after 2 months, he can walk through the city again without being stopped every 2 seconds. Alex shook his head and slowly started walking to the hotel with Crobat. Although it wasn't dark yet, Alex wanted to book a room to stay in this city for the next few days. After 15 minutes of walking, Alex was standing in front of the hotel he stayed last time during the tournament. Although it was relatively expensive, Alex was very content with the hotel's services, so he decided to stay here again. Alex, who entered the hotel room, looked around and quickly went to the shower. When Alex entered the shower, he heard 6 Pokeballs open up by themselves. Alex heard and immediately ignored it. The Pokeballs of Alex's family members are never locked so that his Pokemon can come out independently at any time. Although there is a practical reason for doing this, easy to protect Alex. Alex does it not because of that reason, but to give his Pokemon as much freedom as possible. The only reason why Alex uses Pokeballs is that they are very convenient and can save the life of one of his Pokemon in an emergency. Alex sees and treats his Pokemon as his family. Although he is the head of the family, he tries to show each of his Pokemon enough respect, which is sometimes not that easy. Alex's Pokemon walked out of their Pokeball when they saw that Alex went to shower without a word. Crobat, who had come out, said with an annoyed expression, "What a lazy trainer." Sizer said with a smirk, "Oh, that fat bat doesn't want to move out of Pokeball himself? Welp, not a surprise. Do you need a nanny to take care of your needs, fat bat?" Crobat, who heard this, was immediately pissed off. "UFCK. Whom are you calling fat, you idiot? I weigh almost exactly what an average Crobat would have." Yes, the focus should be given the word, almost. Gardevoir noticed that the two of them had started their bickering again and said, "Can you both calm down, please? I thought after almost 2 weeks without yelling that you would finally treat each other a little more respectfully." After that, she showed a sad expression as she said, "You are really making a bad example for Sheldon and Combusken." Sizer and Crobat saw the sad expression of Gardevoir and immediately stopped arguing. Nobody wanted to make their little sister unhappy unnecessarily. The two began to pursue their hobby, without saying a word. Although they continued to ignore each other, at least they stopped screaming. Gardevoir, who saw this, couldn't help but shake her head helplessly. Sheldon, who heard the words of Gardevoir, made an expression like he had been wronged as he colored Gardevoir with a cute face. "Big sister Gardevoir, why do you speak like I'm still a child?" Combusken, who heard that, said excitedly, "I'm not a kid anymore. Look, I'm bigger than big brother Sheldon." Sheldon, which was much larger than the average Sheldon at 0.7 meters, was still smaller than Combusken. Sheldon, hearing the word from his little sister, said sadly, "That's not nice, little sister. You know that I will get bigger when I evolve." Gardevoir, who saw this cute expression, couldn't help but stroke Sheldon's head when she said, "Don't worry, Sheldon. You'll soon become a big and strong Bastiodon." Sheldon looked excited with his gleaming innocent eyes as he asked, "Are you sure about this, big sister Gardevoir?" Gardevoir said with a kind and gentle smile, "Very sure." Combusken showed a jealous expression as she said aloud, "Big sister, what about me? When will I be a strong and cool Blaziken?" Gardevoir took her two-hand and also started stroking Combusken's head and said, "Very soon. As long as you listen to our trainer, you will soon become much stronger." Ditto and Eevee, who saw this exchange, couldn't help but show a small smile. The innocence these three Pokemon have kept is really a specialty in Alex's group. In Alex's Pokemon group, only this group of three have never killed any other Pokemon. Ditto looked curiously in the direction of Eevee when he asked, "Do you want to play a round of chess?" Eevee gave a wondering look as she said, "What is chess?" Ditto, who finally saw his chance to get a win in chess, said with a smile, "I'll show you." After January's second hour, Ditto was looking at the chessboard with a blank face. Eevee, who had just won, said with a bright smile, "You're right, it's really fun." Alex, who came out of the shower, had a quick look around before he said, "We'd have to sell the items today so that you can continue later." Ditto, who heard this, did not show an annoyed expression but a look of relief instead. Chapter 134. Alex came out of the hotel and immediately took a path to the Pokemon shopping center of Celadon City. The Celadon shopping center was built specifically to be able to fulfill every wish of trainers. Of course, the trainers should have the necessary amount of money for it. Although Alex can also sell the items at the Team Rocket Black Market, he can earn more money at the Celadon shopping center. Many valuable items are sold here for good prices every day, so it is the first choice for any trainer who wants to sell items. In addition, if he sells the items here, he can indirectly show the Alliance how he makes money. And since he may buy items for a lot of money in the auction, he should have a proper explanation to not become unnecessarily suspicious. Although the Alliance will likely think that he has the money from selling Pokemon, it's better to show the Alliance that he is a good guy and doesn't take advantage of the Alliance's gray areas too much. Alex was standing in front of the Celadon shopping center and couldn't help but be impressed by this stylish skyscraper. The sky blue glass walls looked illustrious with the unique shape of the building. It would be an impressive building even in Alex's world. In front of the building were two bodyguards, standing in black suits together with their Pokemon. Both of these Pokemon were elite Pokemon, which surprised Alex a bit. Although the two Pokemon were only at level 41 and 40, elite is still elite. Having elite trainers as door guards is really a luxury. Alex, who knows that only Alliance trainers could enter this building, took out his ID when he stepped in front of the two bodyguards. One of the two guards looked at Alex's ID and, after a few seconds, nodded and continued looking ahead again. Alex, who entered the building, saw a luxurious reception room with two beautiful women standing there. Together with the professional smile and the stylish suit, this reception room created a good atmosphere. Welcome to the Celadon Shopping Center. What can we do for you, sir? When Alex reached the reception table, one of the two women spoke without losing the professional smile. Although the two looked very good, Alex didn't feel any particular charm impressing him. He had the feeling that the two looked a lot worse than Maria. Alex said emotionlessly, "I want to sell some valuable items. The rough worth is several million." One of the women saw Alex's expression and said without changing face in a warm tone, "Sir, if it's above 1 million, you need to negotiate with the manager. I'll call him right away. One moment, please." Alex simply nodded. He walked away so the next person in line could take his turn and sat down in a nice chair. Although this building is only accessible to trainers, more than one trainer comes every 3 minutes on average. Most Alliance trainers are between relatively to extremely rich. So you can just imagine the turnover of this shopping center. In only 3 minutes, a middle-aged man with brown hair and a black-colored classic suit arrived. With a relaxed face, he slowly moved in the direction of the two women. Alex got up after seeing the man looking in his direction. The man showed a small smile when he saw Alex and slowly walked towards Alex. "Welcome to the Celadon Shopping Center. I am the manager of Section 3, Jack." Jack stood in front of Alex and politely put his hand out. "Hi, I'm Alex. I want to sell some of my items here," said Alex as he shook hands with Jack. The smile on Jack's face grew a bit more, and he nodded his face as if he had confirmed something. "I thought you looked similar. You are Alex Stark, the winner of the Kanto Rookie Tournament. Pleased to meet you. I am glad to finally be able to talk to such a talented trainee." "Thanks, Jack. I'm also happy to finally be able to visit the Celadon Shopping Center. It really is a place that every trainer must visit." Jack, seeing the chance of having a future gym leader as a friend, gave Alex a friendly smile as he led him to his office. For Jack, Alex is a chance to make bigger deals in the future to earn more money. Alex, who followed Jack, already had a rough idea of what Jack was thinking and had no problem with it. If Alex builds a good relationship with Jack, it can be beneficial for both parties and not just for Jack. Alex will definitely get a discount and a chance to buy rare items here first. Win-win is an optimal relationship with long-term business partners for Alex. After Alex and Jack walked through various luxury rooms with several items and trainers looking around, he finally arrived in front of Jack's office. Jack opened the door and led Alex inside. The office was about the size of a small conference room. There was comfortable furniture, a minibar, and many exquisite paintings on the wall. Together with the glass wall showing the great view to the outside, this office was really splendid. Jack offered Alex a seat in front of his table as he sat down too. "Mr. Alex, I heard you wanted to sell some items here?" "It's okay to call me Alex. Then please call me Jack, too. If you want to buy or sell items later, you can always ask directly. I will give you a discount." Alex, who heard this, gave a fake smile as he nodded. Then he started putting the items that he wanted to sell on the table. Items that Alex put on the table: 5 high moon stones, 15 mid-moon stones, 42 low moon stone, bag, 1 high water stones, 2 low water stone, 153 pearls, bag. Chapter 135. Jack showed a professional smile as he said, "You really have lots of valuable items. Alex, wait for a second. I'll give you a list for what prices these items are normally bought here." After saying that, he called a staff member who went out of the room and soon returned with a piece of paper with prices of items on it. When he gave the paper to Alex, Alex could see the following prices. Low moon stone, 9,500. Mid-moon stones, 48,000. High moon stones, 350,000. Low water stone, 6,800. High water stones, 270,000. Pearls, 1,000,100,000, depends on the size and quality. Alex had already inquired about the prices of this store, so he knew that these prices were fair and the ones which are offered here every time. "Of course, because you are my friend, I'll give you a VIP customer card with which you get 10% more. You can also use this card to order items online via our website for max 1 million Poke Dollar price." Alex, who heard this, gave a small smile. He understood that these prices were very generous. According to his calculations, Jack will only make about plus 5% after he sells the items. These prices can probably only be received by very few people, which makes Alex very happy. 4 months ago, he was a nobody who didn't even have enough money to become a trainer and was robbed by weak trainers. The feeling of having yourself work for this position only makes the satisfaction even stronger. Alex showed an emotionless expression. Why is the price of the pearls so imprecise? Jack, who was expecting this question, said, I can't do anything about it. Some pearls are many times more valuable than others. On average, a pearl is worth around 6,000 to 7,000. Only good or perfect pearls are worth more. Then, how is the quality of my pearls? Alex, who didn't trust Jack 100%, wanted to see how Jack answered this question. Jack started to look slowly at all of Alex's pearls with a lens without saying anything. After looking at a pearl, he gave each pearl a number between 1 and 10 on the piece of paper. Even if he only needed an average of 5 seconds per pearl, it took him more than 10 minutes to finish checking all pearls. Jack, looking at his piece of paper, said, Okay, I'm done checking the pearls. And I gotta say that you found a good batch of pearls. Lots of 8, 9, and even a few 10s. Alex heard this thought for a few seconds. He felt that Jack most likely wasn't completely lying to him and was probably just hiding a bit to have some profit. What price can you offer me for these pearls? Jack gave a small smile as he said, I'm going to give you a friendship award of 2,250,000 for all of these pearls. Believe me when I tell you that this is one of the best prices you can find. Jack, do you mind if I do a little test? You know, one of my Pokemon is very good at reading people's emotions. Jack, who thought for a moment, said, All right. You have a Kirlia, a psychic-type Pokemon. Really a handy Pokemon to catch lies. Then he smiled and said with confidence, I don't mind if it makes you trust me. Gardevoir that has the ability to read emotions makes it a good Pokemon to reveal lies. Although Gardevoir is not a 100% lie detector, it is very often able to detect lies. Alex saw the confidence of Jack and knew that there is no point in doing it. Haha, just kidding. As your friend, I would never distrust your words, Jack. Hearing Alex's words, Jack felt that Alex would be a good businessman if he wasn't already such a talented Pokemon trainer. Alex said with a friendly smile, What price will you give me for all the items? Jack started pulling out a calculator and slowly calculated the value of Alex's items. After a few seconds, he said, 3,161,600 for all stones. Together with pearls, that makes 5,411,600. And because you have a VIP customer card, you get 10% more. That's precisely 5,952,760 Pokedollars. Alex heard that he had earned almost 6 million Pokedollars and grinned inside his mind. Although Alex was sure that he could get more in this deal more, he didn't want to worsen his relationship with Jack for a couple thousands of Pokedollar. Greed is a deadly poison if you can't control it. Alex smiled and shook hands with Jack. He felt like he was really ridiculously rich now. Now he was feeling great anticipation for the items at the auction. As soon as Alex entered the hotel room, he opened all the Pokeballs and gave each of his Pokemon food. Eevee, who had finished her meal, looked in the direction of Ditto. Hey, Ditto. Do you want to play a round of chess with me? Ditto instantly felt an indescribable sadness. Why can't I win once? Wait a minute. Perhaps she was just lucky the first time? Yes, it was definitely just luck. I heard that beginners always have good luck. This time I will definitely win. Eevee, who saw Ditto's sudden boost of self-confidence, couldn't help but show a confused expression. She felt Ditto's immensely fluctuating emotions when she asked him to play. Ditto, who saw Eevee just looking at him and not going to the chessboard, became even more confident when he said, What, are you afraid of losing? Eevee, who would usually show a more aggressive expression when someone said those words to her, only showed an expression of sympathy. After only 5 minutes, Ditto finally understood why Eevee had this expression. He lost even faster this time. Eevee seemed to have gotten better than last time. Chapter 136, Bonus Chapter. Alex, who still had to sell his captured Pokemon, opened his contacts and called Brand. After a few seconds, Brand's voice came out of the TRH device. Alex? What's wrong? Brand, I have some valuable Pokemon that I want to sell. Do you still work in the Team Rocket shop? Yeah, I do. What kind of valuable Pokemon are we talking about? Lots of good A-talent Pokemon and an elite A-talent Golem with Earthquake on the expert rank. Brand, who heard this, couldn't help but inhale greed. An elite A-talent Pokemon with a strong expert move is extremely valuable. Alex, are you sure that you made no mistake? Brand, you can check all Pokemon yourself if you don't believe it. Though the bill will be on you. No, my friend. I believe you. Tell me, what other Pokemon you caught? Alex and Brand started talking to each other for an hour or so, negotiating the price. Alex, who now has a higher rank than Brand as Lisa's right hand, was able to gain the maximum price for the Pokemon. 1 Golem LV40, Earthquake, E, equals 455,000. 2 Phanpy under Elite, nothing special, equals 120,000, for all. 1 Phanpy under Elite, good innate talent move, equals 110,000. 3 Donphan under Elite, nothing special, equals 185,000, for all. 1 Donphan under Elite, good innate talent move, equals 115,000. 3 Onix under Elite, nothing special, equals 120,000, for all. 1 Onix under Elite, good innate talent move, equals 75,000. 2 Geodude under Elite, nothing special, equals 90,000, for all. 2 Gravelers under Elite, nothing special, equals 95,000, for all. 2 Gravelers under Elite, good innate talent move, equals 195,000, for all. 1 Graveler under Elite, ability, Sandveil, equals 225,000. 1 Golem under Elite, nothing special, equals 50,000. In the end, Alex was able to sell the 20 silver Pokemon for 1,785,050 Pokedollars. Alex started teleporting one Pokeball after another at a time using the TRH device. Then he activated the receive function of the TRH device so that Brand can send him the money. After a few seconds, Alex saw a black suitcase projected onto the table and appear in less than 1 second. Alex, who counted the money, realized that it was just the right amount and couldn't help but grin a little. After these 2 months of dangerous exploration and training, Alex has become very rich. Alex's current balance is greater than 158,000 TR points. Greater than 7,991,810 Pokedollars. Alex, who briefly thought about buying a couple of TMs for his Pokemon, immediately threw this idea out of his mind. There was no point in buying them now. Since the auction was gonna start the next day, Alex didn't want to spend money for buying TMs and other items for now. He can still purchase these items after the auction. Ring ring. Alex took out his TRH device and looked at who was calling him. After seeing that it was Maria's number, he answered the call. Hey, Maria. What's going on? Alex, can you do me a favor? What kind of favor are we talking about? Alex usually has no problem helping Maria a little as long as there is a give-and-take relationship. He had the feeling that only such a relationship has a good chance of succeeding. Both he and Maria are talented trainers who in the future will become influential people. That's why he thinks that such a relationship is the healthiest one as long as they are not a couple. You're going to the Alliance auction tomorrow, right? Can you buy me a good poison-type item when you see it? Don't worry, I'll pay for it. Alex, who remembers that Maria has an Arbok, could understand why Maria was looking for such an item. No problem. Just tell me the price range, so I don't buy the item out of budget. I have 700,000 Pokedollars at my disposal. If you can find something where you think it can be useful for my Arbok, please buy it. No problem, Maria. Thank you, Alex. I owe you a favor. Hearing that Alex agreed to help her, Maria's tone became softer. For Alex, this answer from Maria was very satisfactory. He didn't feel that Maria was putting him under any emotional pressure or trying to take advantage of him. Alex gave a satisfied smile which she wasn't able to see. No problem. Maria and Alex talked for about 15 minutes before hanging up. Alex suddenly noticed that 700,000 Pokedollars had been transferred to his account by Maria. Alex felt Maria's trust in him by this action and showed a pleasing smile. For him, the actions of Maria were much more important than the money. Alex saw that the sun was about to set down, and the curtain of darkness was slowly spreading over the sky. He couldn't help but look forward to tomorrow's auction. In his imagination, he saw many valuable items that can be very helpful to his Pokemon. He had no real interest in the Gold S talent Pokemon being auctioned because he thinks they are way too overpriced. 5 million for an inferior gold Pokemon really isn't a fair price for Alex. Maybe for others, but not for Alex, who has the system. Alex saw that Brand had sent him a picture and couldn't help but laugh out loudly after looking at it. In the picture that Brand had sent Alex, Lars was seen walking out of Lisa's office with a blue eye and several scratches on his face. Together with that, his face was apparently wet. An interesting story was told from this one picture. And the text from Brand, "How long do you think this young dog can take it?" didn't make it easier for Alex to stop his laughter. He could see that karma was slowly biting the arrogant ass of Lars. Alex, who had a good day, went to sleep with a smile on his face. Chapter 137. A young man in a black tuxedo was slowly walking on the streets of Celadon City. After 10 minutes, the young man came in front of a building that looked like a high-grade theater. Professor Walder looked at the young man and slowly walked towards him. Behind the old man were Misty and Junichi, who followed after him. "Alex, there you are. You are almost too late." "I'm sorry, Professor, I had a problem getting dressed up." Professor Walder started laughing. "Haha, I can understand that. I always liked cozy clothes more." Alex, who saw how Professor Walder was wearing his usual clothes, knew that he wasn't lying. Misty and Junichi also greeted Alex, but with an almost expressionless face, though you could find a hint of embarrassment on their faces. So Alex was sure that the two of them didn't really like him. Not that it was any hard to figure out why. Alex ignored the embarrassed faces as he greeted them with a smile. Since he is a sore loser himself, he can understand the thoughts of both of them. The professor, who noticed that the atmosphere was getting strange, spoke loudly. "Okay. We better not waste any more time and go in quickly. We are already very late." The three of them started following the professor as he led them through the grand entrance. While walking, Alex asked, "Professor, what kind of auction is this? I couldn't find any information about this auction." "Well, that's normal. Only 50 people can take part in this auction each time, so only the most influential people from Kanto get an invitation." Alex thought for a moment and then asked, "Professor, if it's so difficult to be able to participate in this auction, why can we participate here?" Professor Walder showed a serious expression when he said, "This is a complicated topic. But let me make it quick and easy. To roughly speak, the Alliance puts great importance on the most talented trainer rookies of the year." Junichi, who had been listening so far, couldn't help but ask, "Professor, can you tell us why we are so important in the Alliance?" Professor Walder showed a thoughtful expression when he said, "Okay, it's not like I'm not allowed to talk about it. Although the Alliance looks very peaceful outside, it is not like that in reality. The Alliance is divided into 7 parts. Kanto Alliance, Johto Alliance, and so on. Each of these Alliance branches competes, peacefully, with one another." Professor waited for a short time before continuing. In the normal case, in this peaceful competition, they compare the Elite Four and the champion, who represents their respective regions. I think you should now understand a little better why the whole alliance of each region values their talented trainers so much. Junichi and Alex both looked slightly surprised as they thought more about the alliance. In comparison, Misty showed no surprise as it looked like she already knew this information. Professor Walder and the 3 young trainers came in front of the auction hall entrance. In front of the entrance, there were several bodyguards together with their powerful elite Pokémon. With such a large number of securities, it was almost impossible to defeat these trainers in a short time. Professor Walder showed some papers, and the bodyguard began to look through them carefully. After the bodyguard confirmed that the papers were correct, he pulled a suitcase from a Pokédex and immediately gave to the professor. Professor Walder took the suitcase and began to lead Alex, Misty, and Junichi into the building. The place was reminiscent of a large opera house. There were grandstands filled with hundreds of seats divided into 5 levels. Each of these levels had 10 separate boxes, and there were 10 seats per box. Also, there were 3 chandeliers decorated with various jewels, hundreds of lights, with small figures of singing boys and dancing girls. All of these things together created a classical atmosphere. Now the auction was waiting for the last guests to arrive before starting. Professor Walder, Misty, Junichi, and Alex went into the box with the number 50. Alex noticed 6 boxes located on the 5th floor of the hall. In the first 4 boxes, there was a gym leader sitting inside, and you could find an Elite Four member sitting in the last 2 boxes. Brock, Sabrina, Erica, and Lieutenant Surge were the gym leaders Alex saw. Together with Lance and Bruno, this building was full of strong trainers. Professor Walder, why are only half of the Elite Four and gym leaders here when this is such an important event? Don't the others want these valuable items too? Haha. Alex, that's not how it is. It's a rule that no more than half of the Elite Four and the gym manager can participate in an event. Alex asked the next moment, for security reasons? Professor smiled brightly, seeing that Alex could guess the reason instantly. Yes, you're right. I don't have to explain why it's such a bad idea to keep all your strongest trainer in one place for a long time, right? Misty, Alex, and Junichi understood without explaining why that was the case. After a minute, lights started to gather on the stage. Soon a woman in a beautiful red dress appeared from backstage. Dear guests, thank you for waiting. My name is Klee, and I am your host for today's auction. Klee is the daughter of the owner of the biggest Pokemon items industry chain in Kanto, and therefore, she is a very influential person in the Alliance. Because of her position and her beautiful face, she was chosen for this event. Many of you have already attended this event, but I will formally say it again. This is a place where you can buy the most valuable and rare items. A festival held once per year for you and your Pokemon to get your heart's most desired item. Now, let me introduce the first auction product of this year. At the same time, nearly a dozen beautiful women emerged from the right side of the stage. They were moving a huge wheeled cage with a Pokemon inside it. We had a lot of worries. What would be best to start the auction? There are 100 products, but what is the most outstanding starter other than this? She started speaking out loud as the Pokemon became visible to all participants. A pseudo-legendary Pokemon with a talent of rank S. Alex, who saw this Pokemon, couldn't help but inhale a deep breath full of greed. Pokemon, Dratini. LV. 11. Type. Dragon. Abilities. Shed Skin. Gender. Male. Potential. Shallow Gold. Moves. Leer. Wrap. Thunder Wave. Twister. Innate Talent, Slam. Innate Talent, Dragon Rage. Innate Talent, Blizzard Chapter 138. Although Alex was slightly disappointed that Dratini was only a shallow gold Pokemon, he had to admit that the being of Dratinis species increased its value many times over. Dragonite species with a base stats of 600 is many times better than most Pokemon. Maybe only a legendary Pokemon or another pseudo-legendary Pokemon has similarly impressive base stats. Professor Walder noticed that bidding would start soon and opened the suitcase that the bodyguard had given him and revealed 3 mobile phone-like devices. He gave each 3 one of these devices. This is the device with which you can participate in this auction. Hold the red button and say your bid to be able to participate in the auction. The other participants and the staff will know who is the one to bid. So it is sufficient to only say your bid. Alex saw that his device number was 48, Misty 49, and Junichi 50. He had the feeling that this number was not randomly distributed. Professor Walder went on to say, in addition, this auction has one special rule that you should know for the future. Any participant cannot bid any more on other items after using more than 25 million Pokedollars in this auction. Alex, who heard the strange rule, couldn't help but ask, does that mean that a participant can bid for one item as much as he wants? Junichi, who heard this, showed a confused expression. He didn't understand why Alex suddenly asked this question. He thought, the professor has just explained that you can't bid further after you exceeded 25 million Pokedollars. What a stupid question. Professor Walder, who heard Alex's question, gave a bright smile when he said, as expected from you, Alex. You noticed that this rule only comes into effect after the bidding for one item is over. Alex, who now understood this rule completely, couldn't help but admire the person who came up with this rule. He noticed that this rule combines 2 important goals at once. First of all, it was to distribute the valuable items and Pokemon relatively fair among the most influential people in Kanto, and to win a lot of money at the same time without giving too great of an advantage to the rich. Alex looked at the Dratini on the stage with boredom. He felt as if he knew which participant would get this Pokemon. Klee began to speak loudly into the microphone with a smile. Now, the auction will start with the starting price of 20 million Pokedollars. I assure you that this Dratini will definitely have a place in your strongest team if trained properly. I'm not disparaging the abilities of any of my guests. This Dratini is outstanding even amongst its own species. If you want him, then bid without any hesitation. Lance didn't wait any longer and started off the bidding. 25 million. Alex saw the Lance bid for this Pokemon didn't give a surprised expression. He already thought that Lance would want this Pokemon indefinitely. 40 million. It looks like Lieutenant Surge also wants this excellent Pokemon. Alex, who heard this comment from Klee, had the feeling that only a person in a high position would get away with such a commentary. 75 million. Lance. 80 million. Box number 34. 100 million. Lance. 100 million bid from Lance of the Elite Four. Is there anyone who wants to bid higher? 100 million going once, going twice, and sold. With no participants bidding further ahead, Lance was able to successfully acquire this Dratini. Although he can't bid for any other items, Lance joyfully smiled as he got this Pokemon. After he successfully got Dratini, Lance immediately went out of box number 1 and made his way to the back office to get his Pokemon. Alex, who saw this, could understand why Lance had no interest in seeing what he gave up for this Pokemon. He felt that it is probably some kind of torture when you find another item or Pokemon that you want but cannot get. After a few seconds, Klee began to present the second item of the actions. The following item is called Bug Gem. It has been recently produced by a well-known bug-type professor. It is strongly recommended for all bug-type Pokemon trainers to take a closer look at this item. This item increases the lifespan of a bug-type Pokemon by an average of 1 year. The starting price of this item is 100,000 Poke Dollars. Alex, who heard how a well-known bug-type professor created this item, couldn't help but look in the direction of Professor Walder. Professor Walder, who saw Alex's questioning look, only showed a slight smile. Alex, who saw this reaction, knew that Professor Walder didn't want to say anything and stopped looking at the professor. Although this item is useful, my Sizer is still very young. And he is from one of the bug-type Pokemon species that live longer, thought Alex when he considered whether he should bid for this item or not. 500,000. Box number 23. 2 million. Lieutenant Surge. Box number 4. Alex, who heard Lieutenant Surge bid so much for this item, couldn't help but think how strange it was. Lieutenant Surge bid for an item that can increase the lifespan of bug-type Pokemon. But he doesn't have a bug-type Pokemon. I don't think Lieutenant Surge has a Pokemon to use it for, so it means he bought it for someone else. If I remember it right, Giovanni's starter Pokemon is a Beedrill, thought Alex. 2.5 million. Box number 36. After a few bids, the price was raised to 5 million. 5 million going once, going twice, and sold. Congratulations to Lieutenant Surge on the successful purchase. Chapter 139. After 1 hour, more than a third of the items and Pokemon were successfully auctioned. Alex saw many different items and Pokemon but had not made a bid on an item yet. The items were either too expensive for Alex or just not useful for him. Unlike Alex, Misty successfully bought a top water stone for 5 million. Like gold Pokemon, top grade stones are relatively rare and cannot always be purchased. And purchasing a water stone as a water-type Pokemon trainer seems like the most rational thing Misty could do. Alex, who saw top water stone being sold for 5 million, couldn't help but grin, thinking about the money he will receive for his 2 top moon stones. He realized now how lucky he was to be able to find 2 of these rare stones. While thinking, Alex looked at the next item that was going to be auctioned. A diamond. Alex saw how even jewelry could be sold here and couldn't hide his disappointment. In the end, the big diamond was sold to a businessman in box number 23 for 3 million. While waiting, Alex started observing other participants' boxes closely. He noticed that a member of the Jenny clan was sitting inside box number 8. There was also a professor whom Alex did not recognize in box number 7. Alex saw that those two's box numbers were only lower than the gym leaders and the Elite Four members. You can discern from this that professors and the Jenny clan have a very high place in the alliance. The Joy clan must also have a high value. And they are probably not here because they are not interested in fighting, thought Alex as he watched other participants. When Klee presented the next item, Alex showed an attentive face. The next item is a must-have for all poison-type trainers. It's a poison gland and the heart of a mid-elite Arbok with the talent of A rank. The starting bid is 100,000 Poke Dollars. Alex noticed that the gym leaders and Elite Four members were not showing any interest when they saw this item. They probably want to give better items to their Pokemon. Alex read in a book that the more items a Pokemon absorbs, the less effective the next item would become. Although this decrease is minimal, it becomes noticeable when numerous mediocre items are given to the Pokemon. Together with the fact that their Pokemon is better than the items from Arbok, makes it very unlikely that this item would be useful for their Pokemon. This item is only useful for Poison-type Pokemon under the Elite ranks. 100,000. Box number 44. 200,000. Box number 42. 500,000. Alex, box number 48. Alex didn't want to start slowly increase the price. He immediately made it clear that he wanted this item and that the others should give up immediately. With no other showing an interest in the item, Alex successfully acquired these 2 items. Alex smiled when he was able to buy the most perfect item for Maria. He had the feeling that these items are optimal for Maria's Arbok and that it is possible to improve the potential of these Pokemon unless it need a big push. Professor Walder, who saw Alex had bought this item, couldn't help but ask, Alex, why are you buying these items? Didn't you tell me that your Crobat is already on the Elite rank? I think this item is not really effective for your Crobat. Maybe if it were a heart of a Crobat, I could understand it a bit. But this... Alex showed a smile when he replied, Professor, I know. This item is for a friend of mine. Although he didn't say anything further, he didn't want to appear too cold to the professor, who was very friendly to him. Auction item number 46. When Alex saw this item, his eyes glinted due to his strong interest. The next item is 5 Staraptor feathers, each of which was reinforced with flying-type energy for a week. The special thing is that the Staraptor was not a normal Pokemon but a champion-level Staraptor with the Strength talent. The starting bid is 500,000 Pokedollar. Alex looked greedily at these items. Although he doesn't think these items are enough to bring Crobat's potential to deep gold, it would certainly make it easier for Crobat in the future.
500,000 Pokédollar.
Misty box number 49. Alex, who saw that Misty also wants this item, showed an annoyed expression. 2 million. Alex box number 48. Misty looked at Alex with her annoyed face and tone. Hey, what are you doing? You can't beat me. You'd better stop. Alex, who heard this, felt that she was looking down on him and was thinking that he had no money. He looked coldly and said with an arrogant tone, That wouldn't be the first time that I beat you, would it? Misty, who heard this, stood up and showed a notably sore expression. Humph. Do you think that your lucky victory means something to me? I would beat you to the ground now if we were to fight again. Alex, who was very proud of his tournament victory, immediately got angry. Oh really? Let's test your big mouth after the auction. I'll show you your place. Okay, sounds good. I'm also in favor of betting if you're not too afraid of losing. The winner gets this item. We both pay half-half, and the winner gets the item. Alex, who heard this, became calm and thought if he was sure that he could win. Although he is much stronger than before, he is at his best when he has enough time to study his opponent to come up with a plan. He's not especially good at sudden fights. Although he already fought Misty, it was almost 2 months ago. He has the feeling that Misty has also gotten a lot stronger and has probably learned a few tricks. But that doesn't mean he can back out now. Especially when the consequences aren't that big. Sure. Stop bidding then. I'll buy the item for us cheaply. Although Alex had hoped to buy it cheap, the other participants didn't allow it to happen. Thus, Alex got the item for the bid of 4 million. Fortunately, he only has to pay 2 million if he can defeat Misty again. He just hopes that he won't lose and ends up giving the arrogant Misty 2 million. Chapter 140, bonus chapter. A couple of beautiful women brought the next item and removed the cover. Seeing the item being revealed, Klee started presenting it to the participants of the auction. The next auction item is the well-known 8 vitamins. Each of these vitamins can improve the basic stats of your Pokemon, thus useful for every trainer. The starting bid is only 100,000 Pokedollars. Alex already knew about 8 vitamins from reading a book about this world. Although this item can really improve the basic stats of a Pokemon, they have a substantial disadvantage in this world. After a Pokemon eats a vitamin, the effect for the next vitamin item will be halved. For example, a Pokemon that has never eaten a vitamin item gains 100% of the effect. But a Pokemon that has already eaten 2 vitamin items only gets 25% of the intended result. So the order of the vitamin can make a big difference. Simply said, the effect is worse the more vitamin a Pokemon has eaten. Alex saw how none of the gym leaders and Elite Four showed any interest and immediately understood that each of these trainers has already given his Pokemon vitamins several times. 100,000. Junichi, box number 50. 200,000. Box number 23. 500,000. Alex, box number 48. 600,000. Junichi, box number 50. Alex, who remarked that this item is interesting for a few people here, showed an annoyed expression. Expressly when the Junichi raised the price a little unnecessarily. Although the vitamin items are difficult to make, they are not ridiculously rare. And one can be purchased between 50,000 and 100,000 when available. Unfortunately, Alex doesn't know anyone who makes this item, so he can only wait if he doesn't buy it now. Although Jack might know someone, Alex can't be sure. 650,000. Alex, box number 48. Junichi, who heard this price, thought for a few seconds and stopped bidding. He had the feeling that this item was not worth the price of 700,000. 750,000. Misty, box number 49. Alex, who thought that he had got this item successfully, was disgruntled when he heard this bid. He looked at Misty, who gave him a radiant smirk, and suppressed the feeling of insulting Misty. Alex didn't want to show Misty how annoyed he was with her actions. He had the feeling that she only bid to annoy him and not because she really wants this item. 800,000. Alex, box number 48. Misty, who was successful in getting under Alex's skin, gave a small grin when she said, I still have more than 15 million. Should I go on or not? What do you think, Alex? Alex's face twitched for a second. Ah, how nice for you. You must be really proud to be able to throw away the money of your family. It must be good to have this much free money. But too bad that you weren't able to buy a brain, or should I say chest. Misty's face swelled for a second before calming down. After that, she started ignoring Alex. In the end, Alex was able to successfully purchase the 8 vitamins for 800,000 poke dollars. Klee, who started to present the next auction item, showed an excited face. We have prepared something very special as the 50th auction item. Alex and many other trainers grew interested after hearing her words. Klee signaled her assistants to show the item. In a small glass box on a rolling table, there was a small round red ball made of glass with an orange circle in it. As many of you can see, the next auction item is the famous hold item, the Life Orb. The Life Orb amplifies every attack from a Pokemon in exchange for a little damage to the holder. In the right hands, this item can save you and your Pokemon's lives when you are exposed to an enemy stronger than you. The starting bid of this great item is 15 million. Alex, who heard the starting price, immediately lost interest. He had the feeling that this item is useful only when your Pokemon are on the champion rank. And it will take a really long time to get that strong. And also rich enough to buy it. 15 million. Bruno, box number 2. 20 million. Lieutenant Surge, box number 4. Klee charmingly smiled when she said out loud, it looks like 2 powerful trainers are really interested in this wonderful item. 25 million. Bruno, box number 2. 30 million. Lieutenant Surge, box number 4. In the end, this item was sold to Bruno for 70 million, who then promptly left the hall just like Lance. Alex looked wordlessly at the next couple of auction items that didn't really interest him. But at item number 59, Alex's eyes showed slight interest. As the next auction item, we have a Gyarados with the S rank. It is only a few days old and has a lot of potentials to be drawn from. The starting bid is 5 million. Alex, who heard the price from these Gyarados, couldn't help but shook his head with disappointment. This Pokemon was really good. Just that it was not meant to be his.
Pokémon Granidos.
LV 5. Type Rock. Abilities: Sheer Force, Hidden Ability. Gender: Male. Potential: Gold. Move: Headbutt, Leer. Innate Talent: Earthquake. Innate Talent: Sandstorm. Innate Talent: Thief. He felt a bit too poor for the auction where several $1 million are thrown for the items or Pokemon. Gold Pokemon earns a good amount of money, Alex thought when he saw how much this Pokemon was being sold. 45 million going once, going twice, and sold. Congratulations to Brock on the successful purchase. After successfully winning the auction, Brock walked out of the hall like the 2 members of the Elite Four.